Every time that goes off, I feel like I died in a video game. Like every single time that thing ends, it's just something about that rattle of the drums, that digital rattle, that makes me think it's the end. But no, it is in fact the beginning. Welcome to That Game Place. We need to come up with a good name for this live show. If only there was some intense part of culture and interactive entertainment for us to draw some kind of cool catchphrase, like those Side Scrollers podcast people over there. No, don't go tune in over there. They're not live right now, or at least I hope they're not live right now. One of the things that might keep you here, though, is our amazing crew that is joining us today. First of all, you saw him in the intro. That would be Mr. Culture Casino.
That's right. Yeah. Welcome to That Game Place Live. Yes.
Also, adding in a man who defies nature. And by that, I mean, the storms come at him and he says, no, you move. Let's bring him on. Mr. Stone Cold Loki. Good to have you here,
brother.
Man.
Thank you. It's good to be here. It's good to be back, guys.
Good to have you back. And also reporting in with a bird's eye view of the entire globe, up in the heavens there, Mr. Space Dave 2000.
Hey, everyone. I can see my house and your house from up here. Just remember that. Always watching.
I can see Russia from my house. And also, today we are being joined by a special guest who has been rocking the internet over there on That Park Place. We have an author like no other. In fact, he is our editor-in-chief. Ask all the editors, and he will say that he is their chief. Let's add him in here, Mr. John F. Trent.
Hello. How are you guys doing?
I'm going to put you in the center square there.
Welcome.
Hey. Oh, center square.
Yep. Thank you so much for being here, John. Glad to have you.
I like level up here.
Yes. Yeah. I need to make like a little, every once in a while, like they just shoots a coin out of the background.
Yeah, any gold coins you find, I claim, though they were mine.
Oh, that's perfect. Today we've got a lot to talk about. Obviously, we've got the Yusuke situation that we will be getting into very shortly. There has been something that's happened that is not quite gaming, but it's gaming adjacent. And we're probably not going to talk much about this Mr. Beast fellow, but there is something else pretty close to it. A streamer, and I don't know when he said this, but there's this guy Ninja, and I just loved this clip that I came across today. Guys, let me know if the sound doesn't work.
Like dude. I go out of my way to make sure that I am never even alone in another room with a woman ever in any moment. Like even like my PR person. Like it doesn't matter who it is. I don't care if they work for me, whatever, bro. There is someone else in that room at all times. If we're alone, I leave instantly. That's on like fidelity, right? As for anything else, dude, it just I don't DM anyone, bro. I DM my boys. Like I DM like guys in the community. No, there's no private messages going on with any girls. If there are, it's like someone like Chica or like, just like people in the space. And then I let my wife know. And then as for like people that I know, bro, if I don't know you, I'm not DMing you. I don't want to get to know you, dude. I don't want to find out you're only 17. Like,
what do you think about that, guys?
Protect this man at all costs. That's what I
Yep. An example for everybody.
Yes.
I've been there where I've grabbed a buddy and been like, hey, I need to talk to somebody. Hop into Discord with me real quick and just kind of hang out while I talk to this person. Yep. I've done that myself before because I don't want to be in any kind of situation where someone goes, blame Loki. Yeah, no, great guy.
Yep.
Good attitude.
I hear from there are wealthy people who own an entire building. I'm not going to say the name of him because it's going to take people right out of it. But he said even when he gets into the elevator in his own building with cameras, just on the case that the camera might go out, he still doesn't get into an elevator with a woman he's not married to.
I just lots and lots about that.
I think it's really good advice. I would say there's probably like some exceptions if you're in like a business relationship or you're having like a meeting or a direct report or something like that, where that might be something that, like, obviously in a professional manner, there's other people in the office or something like that. But for the most part, 100% agree with pretty much everything he says.
The good thing,
the part about only DMing your boys.
Yeah, to speak in the professional environment, working in the banking industry for so long, they changed from, having offices that had kind of frosted glass and you could not see into, to removing that completely, so that when you had meetings and if it was a male and a female, everybody could see you, for example. So there was no worries about, inappropriateness or whatever, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a smart change
now.
Yeah.
Sorry, just making a joke there. I'm sorry.
No,
we're talking about something serious, but
no,
that's what popped in my mind was when you're talking about the glass, and it's like She-Hulk twerking.
I feel like there should be a propaganda sign, like the old school Jingoistic propaganda signs that says, "Please don't twerk. You are at work." I've also been in places where like the boss will put French doors, like big glass panels, so that everyone can see in there. And like the dude is surrounded by glass the entire time, so that the conversation is quiet. Can't hear what's going on in there, but you can definitely see nothing that's going on in there is below board. Now, anyways, that's neither here nor there. And that's about the most we want to comment on what's going on with Mr. Beast. At the moment, there is one from a business standpoint that I just want to knock out really quick. Warner Brothers has decided to buy the developer of Multiverses. Has anybody heard about this game?
Yeah,
yes, I actually heard about this.
Yeah. So
struggling.
Yeah. I think it's one that if it's a hit with kids, they've got money for days. They've got money for months. They want to be in that Fortnite space. They want to be in that place where everybody plays for free, but whatever the in-game currency is here, you can kind of see we got Iron Giant. We've got there's Gizmo. Excuse me, Eden Blessing. We don't need to see your business up there. We're trying to work here. Batman, Harley Quinn, all these different IP-based characters that are going to be going into this game. Terms of the deal were not disclosed, but Player First Games, based in Los Angeles, will join Warner Brothers Games and continue to be led by co-founders Tony Huynh, forgive me on the name, and Chris White, Chief Technology Officer. They'll report to Carlos Barbosa, VP and Studio Head of Warner Brothers Games San Diego, and Development Studio provided production support for Multiverses. The thing that I noticed here, and we don't have to talk about this one long, I think it's fascinating. Warner Brothers is not known for having a lot of free cash flow right now. And any of that free cash flow seems to be going towards debt. Doesn't seem to be having a good effect on the stock price. But whatever is going on with this game, I think they see profitability here, and they want to own this developer lock, stock, and barrel. Anybody have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, so I was actually, I wrote an article up. When did I write this? July 10. So just earlier this month, about 2 weeks ago, there was a report that Riot Games actually scrapped their League of Legends skinned Smash Brothers style game, which is Multiverses is, and the report said it was because of Multiverses' struggles. So this game has kind of gone through a bunch of struggles. It had an open beta where it actually got like a ton of people to tune in and play. I mean, we're looking at all-time peak was 2 years ago, 153,433 concurrent players. So there was a lot of interest in the game. However, it then kind of took a hiatus for about 8 months. Looks like it stopped around October. And then they reopened it earlier this year, maybe in May or June, I think is when they relaunched. But the peak there was, where did it get to? It got to 114,515 players when it reopened. But it's since then it's only doing around like 6,000, not even 6,000 concurrent when I wrote the article up 2 weeks ago. So I don't know what it's at now, but yeah, you can see. Yeah, here's the article right here. So this is kind of surprising to me. Obviously, they see potential, but it might be something that has a really long tail, and obviously they might have they might have a lot of whales, right? And despite even having maybe a small player base, you might have a lot of big whales that are interested in playing the game. So that could affect how it's being monetized and things like that.
That's a really good point. I think between League of Legends and Multiverses, these are IP plays to me, intellectual property plays. So the question will be, does League of Legends have enough whales in it that they're willing to play a Smash Brothers style game? Sounds like a no. But does Multiverses with all of its, and by the way, it's kind of an asterisk on this thing about whether or not it's a kid's game. They have Game of Thrones characters that are in this game as well. So, it's on that more kiddie side, but at the same time, they're leaning on some properties that are not okay for kids, or generally thought of as not okay for kids. I stopped following Game of Thrones a while ago. So this is one that I'll be curious. I might play it. I will not play it in front of my kids because I don't want to have to deal with all of them begging to play the game that has Bugs Bunny and Adventure Time and all of these things in it. The other issue, of course, there is if they see somebody right next to Bugs Bunny, they'll see, I don't know, maybe a Stark or something from Game of Thrones right next to Bugs Bunny, and they say, "Oh, I want to watch that." Anyways, don't mean to start on the moral issue there, but I'm interested to see what comes of this. Of course, Warner Brothers Games, also known as the publishing studio behind Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. You have to say the entire title so that YouTube knows what you're talking about there. So doesn't leave me with a lot of hope there. All right. The reason that we have
they
John
did do Hogwarts Legacy though last year. They made a ton of money. So
it did. Hey, John, did you play that one?
No, I did not.
I was going to say, I think you and me might have similar opinions on that one if you played it.
Yeah.
Another studio that is making some interesting moves. This is in the breaking news area here because this is a pretty close to news story here. GTA 6 publisher concerned of review bombing harm. This one out of Dixerto Culture brought this to my attention.
I had this on my radar too. It's a good one.
Yep. This game, I don't have a lot of faith in it here, but let's read. Publisher Take-Two Interactive has shared concerns that review bombing could harm its future games, including the highly anticipated GTA 6. Take-Two Interactive, the publisher behind Rockstar titles such as GTA, the GTA franchise, and Red Dead Redemption, has condemned the damaging review bombing trend that has infiltrated the video game, TV, and film industries in recent years. All right, well, let's just...
No.
Okay.
That's a very bad sign for them.
Yeah. Everyone getting angry and telling them what they think about. Think about what they're doing. That's the thing that they're scared of. If they had a solid product, I don't think that would be the concern. Who has some experience with GTA over the recent years?
I'll hop on.
Lots and lots.
Yeah. They made a ton of money. I want to tell you something. They made a mountain of money. They went in and stole Smog's treasure. They made so much money on GTA 5. I think it was me and Culture that were talking the other day about the fact that they didn't even come out with expansion packs because they were afraid that would have undercut the shark cards and the online. So they took stuff they were gonna come out as with DLC and put it in their multiplayer stuff. They've made a ton of money. I don't know why they're even worried about bad reviews. If you've got a strong product that is selling that you're making mountains of money on, why are you worried about review bombing? You wouldn't. You would let your product speak for yourself. So I think it's very amazing that they've come out and said this when they should just let their games speak for themselves.
But I think this implies that it's going to be super woke. So they know it is. Yeah.
No, I've been saying this for a while, but they know it is. We know it is. The early leaks gave us the information that it was. And more importantly, what did Take-Two do? Why was this so important? They want to send an investor message. How are they doing that? With an SEC filing. That's
Right.
where they're discussing this,
Well,
and they're
Can you
doing
can
that
you
for a
expand on
reason.
that? Why they're having to say that, and where it would be in the SEC filings? This is something Disney does this, and everyone has to say where their weaknesses are. I'm just surprised to see review bombing brought up in an SEC filing.
Well, I think a lot of it stems from the fact of what Ubisoft is struggling with right now, and why their stock's taken a massive dump. Every single product that they've been releasing, I'm referring to Ubisoft right now, has been getting wrecked. Reviews, it's costing them sales. They know that. We know that. This latest debacle with Assassin's Creed Shadow that John's been covering so brilliantly for us, and we've been covering so brilliantly, and we'll be covering it here a little bit, is basically exposed that it's all this baloney sausage politics that they're putting into all of this stuff that is affecting them. So with that now being the new norm for game studios, recognizing that they have invested too much of their efforts into these things that the gamers absolutely reject wholesale, and the fact that this game is going to be exposed for one of those things, the game they expect to go for a decade, mind you. That's what they expect out of GTA, Red Dead Redemption, and all of these. They expect a decade or more out of these games. This isn't going to do that, and they have to tell the investors up front, this is our weakness. This may mean we could have a problem here. And that's telling you, the consumer, they pumped it full of woke, and everything that you despise, it's in there.
You know what's fascinating is Red Dead Redemption had the opposite problem of GTA 5. It had they both had great first-person stories, right?
Mm-hmm.
Single-player storylines. But whereas GTA 5 has been, as was said by Loki, super successful on the multiplayer side, Red Dead Redemption 2 bombed like nobody's business on the multiplayer side. And it makes, I'm sure they're shaking in their boots, right? Because they're thinking, what is it that, because we all know they don't really care about the single player anymore. It's going to be probably a shorter story, not as well developed. I mean, I guarantee it. It's not going to be as classic as GTA 5. And they only want to sell those more shark cards. They want to make more multiplayer. And as we're saying here, if they get review bombed, that's what they're really afraid of. Are people going to stop really being whales for the multiplayer side in GTA 6? And will they, at the end of the day, though, don't they still have a safety net with GTA 5 multiplayer? Everybody will probably just stay on that, right?
I look, my speculation here, Space Dave and Loki, jump in if you think I'm wrong, and John, you too. And Jonas, just be quiet for a minute. Anyway, I fully expect that it'll start to slow down once GTA 6 is launched. I think that they expect a natural slowdown even with their online product, but I think if this goes that direction, it may irritate fans enough that they do slow down. They do stop shelling out for the shark cards, and especially if there's no crossover, right? People are going to, they may play GTA 5 online for a while, but once their shark cards are out, they're going to be like, do I really want to support this company anymore? That's,
I'm surprised multiplayer survived this long, because I know they've done a lot with it, but I stopped playing it a long time ago because, you get murderized when you go on there, and forgive that word, but if you haven't played this franchise and you're new to it, especially, it's very hard to get into the multiplayer side. First person storyline, great. Anyone can jump in, but multiplayer, good luck.
You may be right, but I think Loki was mentioning a video that we did together that I think, came out of that Park Place, an article, but they really did just ditch this DLC that would have been extensive, basically a whole other game, right, Loki?
Right. And it was going to be about Trevor. You were going to have some spy stuff where he was working for the FIB. I mean, it sounded really cool. They had assets that were shown of him in the tuxedo and like a jetpack where he was going to do a James Bond scene. I would have been hyped. I would have paid $30, $35, $40 for a Trevor Phillips expansion where you get to go and have a whole adventure with Trevor. I would have loved to do that. Instead, they scrapped all that and threw it into multiplayer. And if they stumble out of the gate with 6, it is very, very difficult to get people to come back. There will be some people that'll stay, and there will be some people that are like, oh, over the last year, they've made so many improvements and it's so much better than when it started. But once you lose a whole bunch of people, it is so much more difficult or to get them to tune back in and play.
Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Cyberpunk.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yep.
Once that's happened, the cat's out of the bag and you've lost a whole bunch of people. Don't
And
expect
no offense
to just get them back.
Yeah, no offense to Cyberpunk, but I mean, it was super hyped. It did terrible on launch because of technical glitches. And I think everybody thought it would be as good of a storyline or as broad as GTA 5, and it was not. I'm not saying if you like that game, don't like it. I'm just saying I played it once and that was it. It was done for me. Whereas with GTA 5, I played it over and over and over again because it was so good and it just amazed me how in-depth that game was. And I am frightened for GTA 6. Frightened because of the direction that these guys took with multiplayer. It just tells me everything I have to know. Exactly what you said. I heard about the DLC too long ago, that they were supposed to, they had a bunch of DLC lined up just like with 4, and they decided, nah, these guys are just shark card. We're making money,
Right.
like we're buying yachts and all sorts of crazy stuff. So
I need to point this out because so with Ubisoft, this is a company, and we look at Disney and Disney a lot because obviously I have a channel that covers Disney all the time. They will at least have to pay lip service to the idea that they're not just corporate raiders. Whereas a company like Take-Two Interactive, they will make moves that are strictly about themselves and their bottom line. And that may be why they are so, well, for lack of a better term, woke at this point, because they're having someone push down these mandates from above. And it goes to that idea of these companies that maybe don't even really care for their product, and they're hiring the developers to create a product that will sell, but they are maybe a little bit ashamed of that kind of product. The way that like all these McDonald's across the country have been transformed from let's say a family friendly place where they would have playgrounds and a silly clown, and now they're all Bauhaus style. They're trying to look like a Starbucks. Or Disney is trying to appeal to wine moms or whatever with the Acolyte, which I don't think even wine moms showed up for that one. One thing I want to point out is this article from John Trent. After purchasing Gearbox, Take-Two Interactive reportedly shuts down 2 developers from May 2nd of this year. There was something here that I thought was interesting. At the end of March, Take-Two Interactive announced it would purchase Gearbox for $460 million. Our acquisition of Gearbox is an exciting moment for Take-Two that will strengthen our industry-leading creative talent and portfolio of owned intellectual property, including the iconic Borderlands franchise. Obviously, everyone's excited for that movie, right? Right? Everyone's excited for that. But
they made a movie.
They looked at the numbers and said, maybe we can convince people this is a Guardians of the Galaxy. Along with purchasing Gearbox in March, Take-Two also merged with Zynga in May of 2022. And basically, they're bringing together their. Let me see if I have this right here. Where is the one where they say that they are basically consolidating everybody in order to enjoy the synergies of purchasing all of these people and putting them into the gear. Yeah. There it is. As he added, as we bring together our exceptional talent, exciting pipelines of growth, and industry-leading technologies and capabilities. That's people saying nothing right there, by the way. We believe we can take our portfolio to another level of creativity, innovation, and quality. Each of our teams has a strong history of operational execution, and together we expect that we will enhance our financial profile through greater scale and profitability, paving the way for us to deliver stronger shareholder value. If you can read the disdain in my voice as I read that paragraph, that's the kind of corporate speak that I had to put together when I worked in the corporate finance world, leveraging things, synergies, all of that. Synergy is a real thing, but whenever you hear an executive use the word synergy or scale, that's a red flag that someone's about to get fired.
100%
right
agree.
So, John, you wrote this article. Do you have anything you want to bring up from it?
Yeah, if you scroll down towards the bottom, I think this is kind of the more relevant information here. Is it actually looking at what Take-Two's keep going. Looking at Take-Two's actual finances are and what they've been kind of right there. It's really good. So you can see that in their most updated fiscal 2024 outlook, they actually decreased their projected net bookings from a range of 5.45 billion. 5.45 to 5.55 billion to a range of 5.25 to 5.3 billion. They're basically decreasing it by $250 million there, right? That's a lot. That is a significant decrease there. And then if you actually scroll down a little bit further, you'll see that they had 91.6 million net loss just for the first quarter. Scroll back up a little bit. I guess you can show the chart too if you want. But then also they had a net loss of 841.2 million for the 9 months ending December 31st. So this company is in dire straits. And if Grand Theft Auto 6 does not perform well, we could see some, I think, massive changes happening with this company. Could go the way of Embracer Group, which ironically is who they purchased Borderlands and Gearbox just earlier this year. So I think they have a lot riding on this. These numbers do not look good to me, just from kind of an outside observer. I don't consider myself an expert on the finances here, but when you're posting an almost $1 billion net loss over 9 months, that does not look good in my opinion.
No, that does not look good. And it's not like games have become less popular or less important to culture at this point. This is the thing. Games have not suffered. Well, they've suffered a little bit. They haven't suffered the same way that movies have, because people couldn't go out to go to the movies, and you could check out a game from your couch. But if you're staying home, more people would be playing games. This doesn't make sense to me why games have suffered in the same way, unless you account for it's woke garbage that people just get sick of.
So I think that's a point too, but I also think that they had this massive boom during COVID, massive boom, because people were staying home. We saw this in kind of collectibles like Pokemon stuff. There were people like shooting people in like the parking lots of Walmart over like Pokemon cards. It's absolutely insane. The collectible market went crazy, but so did the video game market. And I think that's what we're seeing here. I think a lot of this was, I think Mark Kern has talked about this with Embracer Group. They did a huge gamble during the COVID times. The play clearly didn't work out. They were trying to become the next EA. And so they're having to like part and parcel all of this stuff out. They're having to split their company up into 3 different things in order to basically just stay around. And I think a lot of these video game developers overinvested. They thought that these boom times during COVID were going to continue, and people happened to come back out of COVID, and they're going back and doing other things. And it's not just spending time inside playing video games. They're using their money on different things. And then obviously you can factor in just the overall economy, inflation, prices going up, people cutting back on kind of leisure expenses like a video game, because a video game is something at the end of the day you can live without, and you find other things to do with your time that you might not have to be spending $60, $70 now, because we're also seeing a price increase on a lot of these video games. Plus, there's also, I think, a lot of the market has changed a lot too. I know a lot of people don't like to talk about this, but I think that Hoyoverse has done I think they've significantly impacted the video game market, and they control a lot of the video game market. You look at Honkai Star Rail, you look at Genshin Impact, you look at Zenless Zone Zero, they're bringing in tens of millions of dollars every single month just in from global. That doesn't even include China, where it's usually around the same, if not equal to or more than what the global is bringing in, according to some data. And I think people are interested in those types of games. And I think that's why you saw GTA kind of do well online, because I assume it has something similar to that, where they're providing updates on that. But I'm not super, you guys can probably talk about that. But yes. So I do think there's a lot of factors, but obviously the injection of woke ideology is a huge one. We're seeing that cause almost a international crisis here with Ubisoft. I don't want to,
John, to build on what you're saying here, and sorry to interrupt, is it's fascinating, and you guys can correct me if you think I'm wrong, that companies didn't realize a lot of people were not working during COVID too, so they had a lot of downtime, right? So they were sitting at home doing nothing. Of course they're going to game. Of course they're going to watch movies. Of course they're going to do this, because that's all they can do. That's all they were allowed to do. And did they not think, like, these very short-sighted investing and thinking is that this would not end, or at least taper off and then decline at some point, because literally people have to go back to work. So where was the thought processes behind a lot of these takeovers and these building of companies? And it's just short-sightedness by a lot of executives, not just in the gaming industry, but the entertainment industry. And we're seeing the results of that today, that tons and tons of people are out of jobs. Well, of course they are. Like, what did you expect to happen? So,
well, actually, they expected to be, just swimming in money because of that McKinsey study that has been disproven 3 times over now that, if you went with the messaging, the DEI, the ESG, and all of the stakeholder capitalism, neo-Marxism stuff, well, guess what? You'd be swimming in money. Well, they were fooled by lies of, a organization that, should never be trusted at all, ever. I mean, the individuals there are really untrustworthy. And that's
could you be talking about?
Yeah, the other thing I'll add here is this goes to this quarterly cycle of the stock market where you cannot have a quarter where you have an amazing amount of income and then go back to normal. They all
Exactly.
want, you have to answer to a faceless mob that probably does not understand your product for why it pulled back. It's continuous growth.
Yeah,
it does speak into investors as well, where they jump on the bandwagon. I've seen this over and over and over through my 25-year career in financing, it's why the .com bust happened. It's why housing market crashed. It's why all of these things happen, because investors, and I'm not giving financial advice, but a lot of them are foolish. They don't stop to think of the consequences or the long term. Like, investing is supposed to be medium to long term normally. Short term investing is high risk. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. So you have to be careful with that and think about what you're doing. And a lot of these, as you said, DEI, all of this, like, the market corrects itself. You have to be very cautious about what you're doing as an investor, and dumping billions and billions of dollars just because everybody else is doesn't usually work out well. So just my opinion.
Gamers get wise too. Gamers get wise, and we start learning how to work around this. One of the biggest problems today is the localization and the westernizing of games. I've got 4 games right here that I imported from Japan. All of them Super Robot War games. All of these are directly imported from Japan. These are not sold in the United States, but you can play them on your PlayStation. You can play them on your PlayStation 4. You can play them on your PlayStation 5. I'm not doing things their way. I'm not playing their localized, westernized crap. If I have to go to the source, gamers get wise. These will play on your PS4 and your PS5. So why not just order them? Oh, but Loki, you might not be able to get that day 1 DLC. I don't care. It'll still update, and it'll still be that version. I don't care if they speak in Japanese. They've got subtitles. You can read the subtitles. I grew up in the age of Nintendo, Super Nintendo. I had to read my games back in the day. They didn't talk to me. So I will go with the direct Japanese port instead of dealing with some localized generic crap that somebody over at Sony in the USA said, well, we can't have this character say this or do this because of these reasons. Oh, we're going to take this character that has this body and this personality, and we're going to change it, and we're going to make them this. I don't have to deal with that. I can just order directly from the source and play the game the way it was meant to be played.
Love it. Love it. I only have to push back on you for one thing. When I was young, one of my video games did speak to me, and it very clearly said, no, it said to me, the last Metroid is in captivity. The galaxy is at peace. Of course, then Ridley showed up, and then we get Super Metroid.
We had Joe Montana Sports Talk Football, too. Welcome to Joe Montana Sports Talk Football.
Love it. Now we do want to add to the panel someone arriving a bit late, but he's last but not least. Let's add in our favorite weeb, Mr. Spencer Baculi.
It's not a party until I'm here. What's going on, everybody? I hear we're talking some GTA and some more failed video game company endeavors.
Yep. We don't usually. I guess I can say that we don't usually talk about financials on this channel, but we are going to talk about financials yet again this one. But before we do that, let's bring up this. I believe this is the first super chat from Jay on this channel for $5. Speaking of 2020, Doom Eternal and Animal Crossing New Horizons came out just as the lockdown started. That softened the blow for some people. I really enjoyed Animal Crossing. I didn't play much Doom Eternal. Again, I was surrounded by kids, but it was that's a Zen game right there. You can put the headphones in. It's got a good soundtrack, and a lot of my friends were playing. So it wasn't really
the island vibes. The island vibes, you get them from a video game.
And
Props
it
to
was
them, 'cause
also
it revived the franchise.
It did. The DS
that's
one.
true. That's true. I liked it when it was squares instead of being a big free roaming open world. The other thing about that is when my Fortnite addiction started because of a client that I was working with that insisted that I play. So Animal Crossing New Horizons, they stopped making DLC for that. I wonder if that thing's still making money.
Probably a small amount, probably not a giant amount.
Yep. And here we go.
Waiting for the next.
Andrew in the chat. Jonas plays Animal Crossing in Fortnite because he can't hack it at a man's game.
Ouch.
Yeah, there you go.
Them's fighting words.
What are you talking about?
Wow.
Fortnite is MLG right now. That is the game. If you're not good at that, what are you doing here?
I'm playing Mario Golf. I'm playing Mario Kart. I'm playing Ghost Recon Wildlands. I just reinstalled.
Culture. Nobody knows what those games are. Those games are all like a decade old. Our audience is too young for that.
I just re-downloaded Ghost of Tsushima. So
On
that is
PC, you
the
playing
deluxe
on
one?
PC or you playing on PS5?
PS5
Now-
this time.
One thing I do want to point out, since we're talking about Ghost of Tsushima, I sincerely doubt that we're about to get the greatest samurai game ever made from Ubisoft. Ubisoft is, of course, the reason that we even have this live stream here today. We are here every
We already
Wednesday
got it. It's
at
called
3 p.m.
Samurai Showdown. We don't need another samurai game.
Oh, there's a good one right there. But
Fighting words.
Ghost of Tsushima, I
good
think I've
looking.
gotten 3 platinum medals on that one on different systems in different.
Still got to give it a
director's
first
cuts.
playthrough.
But let's talk about this shadow of a samurai game here.
Oh.
Ubisoft has released a statement
Our
to Japanese
favorite.
players amid massive backlash to Assassin's Creed Shadows. Hey, look at that. It's by John F. Trent.
Hey, John.
This guy right here.
Awesome.
He doesn't look happy, that Yusuke guy.
Yeah, he looks grumpy.
Video game publisher and developer Ubisoft released a statement to Japanese players amidst massive backlash to the company's upcoming Assassin's Creed Shadows game. Culture and I recorded a video about this, and do you want to sum it up for the audience before we get into the backlash from the apology and backlash from both sides on this, because there are reactions.
Yeah, I don't know how to do it shortly and eloquently. I'll just say it this way.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
You want a full rundown of everything just before we get into this statement?
I don't know.
I can do a quick one. I can do a very, very, very
all right.
quick
You're
right.
up.
Assassin's Creed Shadows, the next entry from Assassin's Creed from Ubisoft. The game is set in feudal Japan. Our 2 protagonists are going to be the Japanese female ninja Naue and the based on a historical figure Yasuke, the Black Samurai. Now, the entire game is fictionalizing the account of a real world person who existed. However, the big debate is over the fact that historically, no documents exist supporting that this individual, Yasuke, was actually a samurai. He was a retainer at best, but not a full-blown, full honor, full swords, full everything samurai.
Yeah, he's not a Bushido warrior.
Nope,
and they would never
not.
never have had female shinobi, which is the other problem.
100%. Yeah, they weren't allowed.
Well, they would have had female agents. They absolutely would have.
Daughter. She's playing the
but
daughter.
they would have been spies, correct?
They would've been
Yeah,
spies.
they would have been spies. They would have been obviously
Black
there
Widow.
were no real ninjas running around Naruto style throwing shuriken and everything. Like that's very fictionalized.
What?
I know. I'm blowing minds here.
Oh.
I'm blowing minds here. But
no.
yeah, there were female shinobi who would essentially serve as, stealth assassins. They would go, they would work in the brothels, they would work, in the houses, and then when somebody wasn't paying attention, wham, chow, whatever they need to do to take them out. So that is one of the biggest controversies about the game, is that this Yasuke was not a samurai in real life, but the game is portraying him as if he was. Now, the game itself, the whole series is historical fiction, right? You fight aliens, you're time traveling. That's not really in dispute. So the bigger problem, though, is that everything Ubisoft is doing with this game is completely culturally disrespectful. Aside from Yasuke and presenting him as an actual samurai, you have buildings using Chinese architecture instead of Japanese architecture. you have Yasuke writing like up and down instead of left to right, or what was it? Oh, he unfolds the scroll up and down instead of left to right, you know, like it's things like that. Very little cultural details that they completely screw up at every turn. They're stealing copyrighted images from reenactment groups. They are taking images just from Google and throwing it in there and going, yeah, that's authentic, isn't it? So it's, aside from the fact that there's the whole Yasuke controversy, the overarching thing is that Ubisoft is just not treating the culture that they're working with respect. And in terms of Assassin's Creed, that's a big deal, because all the past games, aside from the story, one of their big selling points was we are historically respectful. Yes, our story is sci-fi and it's all over the place, but the history is like correct. The time period is going to be correct. All of this stuff, it can be like you stepped right into feudal Japan. And they've given all that respect to every other country they've worked with, whether that's Egypt, Constantinople, all that stuff, but not when it comes to Japan.
Yep, that is exactly
and
right.
The game's director, his name is Charles Benoit. He's also said that you can learn the real history of Japan from the game. So in the marketing of this game, they're describing Yasuke as a legendary samurai, and that they're also saying that it is actual true history of the game. And that's one of the big issues that Japanese players have taken issue with, is the fact that they have said that this is the true history of Japan. And that's why you're seeing a lot of Japanese government agencies seeing they're being requested to investigate what's going on with this game as well.
Mm-hmm.
Before every single Assassin's Creed game starts, you will get a message saying this game is made with love from a multicultural team, and we are very respectfful of each individual religion, culture, race, creed.
That's also they only started throwing that in with
tagline.
They didn't start doing that until like it wasn't in the first couple games. I think it was after 4.
It was when they did the Native American.
I thought it was after 3.
I think it was in 2, but I might be wrong.
I'll at least verify. I know it wasn't in 1.
And I noticed they respect everybody but the Catholic Church, who you notice is always the bad guy in these.
They've always been the bad guy. They were always established as the bad guy from the very beginning.
Since then, and all of this backlash, well-earned backlash, Ubisoft has finally responded, and this is how they responded. And again, going to that idea of corporate speak, let's read a little bit. Since the announcement of Assassin's Creed Shadows, we have received many positive reactions, but also some criticism, including from you, our Japanese players.
What a way to say that.
It is directed at Japanese players. That's just to be clear.
Yes.
Shouldn't it be like the majority of reactions were bad and a couple of shills like bent the knee and kissed up?
Kiss the ring? Yeah.
Most disliked trailer ever for Assassin's Creed.
Wow. So, we could go through this entire thing again. We have a video going through it. John, you wrote the article here. Do you have anything you want to throw in here before we get to everyone's reaction, the Japanese reaction on Twitter?
Yes, so I think this apology is fake. It's insincere. I think this is massive amounts of damage control. It came out a week after they had an earnings report where they were actually grilled by a number of institutional investors, asking them what the pre-order data was for this game. What is going on here? Why are your outlook is only at 500 million euros when Star Wars Outlaws is supposed to release? So it was kind of asking questions about both of these games.
Yes.
And they basically gave a bunch of canned answers saying like, we have really positive outlook on this. It looks really good, positive sentiment. And they kind of repeated that. And after being asked about that a number of times, and I think the investors were like, these people are lying through their teeth and it's not looking good. And they probably also see some of the news headlines about the massive backlash here. So I think a lot of this was damage control. I will say that they did finally admit that Yasuke is not a it's not proven that he is a samurai. It is disputed, which that's also part of the controversy, which we really didn't even get into, is the fact that they seemingly worked with this guy named Thomas Lockley, who's been editing all of these Wikipedia articles and Encyclopedia Britannica to sell his book. And he's basically been like fabricating the history, and Ubisoft was basically seemingly behind the scenes working with him to try and sell the game.
His entire thing is based on like oh yeah, here's Yasuke. They didn't say he wasn't, so he has to have been, right? Like that's his entire argument. It's so bad.
If you've been following what's happened with Rings of Power, it's the same thing. Like, well, Tolkien didn't actually say this, so
it's exactly that.
It's 100.
Yep.
Which actually, that's funny, John, because this touches on both of the stories we just covered with why Take-Two is like, like, holy crap, we're gonna get slaughtered. And they actually, in that article, Dick Serto that wrote that article, they actually said that they cited. Or Take-Two cited the Lord of the Rings of Power as one of the things that was quote unquote review bombed, and another recent event. So I look at those things and I go, these guys really understand that they have put their companies in grave danger finally. And I think that this is all cover up. And I mean, you've been doing a great job, John. I mean, there's also, what else is happening with this game? Apparently, it's possible that there's same interest in other,
there's
things.
same-sex relationships. They're making this this character that they're saying is real history. Remember, they're saying you can learn real history from this game, and then they also are saying like, well, both of these characters will have potential for same-sex relationships in the game, and other characters might have that as well. I mean, there's lots of things going on with this game, and the Japanese just clearly just aren't having it, and they're tired of the gaslighting. They're tired of Ubisoft lying to them. And this is something I haven't really gotten to yet, so I'm glad we're going to get to it. I know that there's a ton of backlash that the Japanese have been giving them because they posted this statement in English and in Japanese here. So they posted to their Ubisoft Japan, and they're just getting eviscerated in pretty much all of the comments. And I just want to point out too, when we saw this Japanese political aid. He sent these questions to a number of the government agencies in Japan. One of them actually came back and said that the game was still being reviewed by like their ethics board or whatever to determine whether or not there would be any kind of censoring of the game. So I think that is a possibility that the Japanese government might actually censor this game and cause them to change it, because if you in the English version, Ubisoft does say that like, hey, all of this stuff that you've seen is still a work in progress. We still might change something, and I'm just like, dude, this game's coming out in November.
Right.
That's what, like 4 months from now.
Yeah.
And you're telling us you told us last week that Star Wars Atlas has already gone gold, which means that it's ready to go, and you can't change anything on that, even though there's getting lots of complaints on the graphics and everything like that for that. So I doubt that they're really going to be changing anything. So again, I think it's a lot of cope. I think it's a lot of what's the word I was using earlier? Basically, just trying to deflect.
Deflect. Yeah.
There's a board in Japan. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but there is a board in Japan that deals with nothing but protecting their culture, protecting their art, and protecting the way that they do things. And if they don't want this game in Japan, they will not allow this game in Japan. They will just boycott it. The entire country, you ain't getting
that's
it,
the way they should
and
do
it's
it.
not coming. And that's it exactly, Spencer.
Don't shut the game down. Don't censor it. Just if you don't want, like, hey, we don't want it. Don't sell it.
We don't
sell
want
it
it
everywhere else.
Yep.
Peddle your wares everywhere else.
If I can emphasize this, and again, I know this because of John's articles that I've been reviewing and prep for this show, so I was very glad that he's joining us today. Star Wars Outlaws is between now and then, so August 13th, so just a few weeks away. And then this is the next big release for Ubisoft. And I don't think anyone that plays video games is that excited about either of these games. I know a couple of normies that are like, I've heard it's like Grand Theft Auto and Star Wars. Okay. And then this is...
I've literally never even heard that like description used by a gaming site. Where did that even come from?
That's why I was surprised. That's why I was surprised. And it was the weirdest anecdotal comment. Again, and I don't go trying to kill people's vibe if they no. But seriously, this game, which is based on such amazing historical research, has a black samurai who is pansexual. You know, just like every samurai, I'm assuming, right?
It's beyond ridiculous, and it just speaks into like these games take so long to develop now, right? Like 4 to 5 years minimum. So once you've committed to things like this. Just be very careful because it can destroy your entire franchise in one swift blow. Look at Suicide Squad, right? That game was in development for 11 years. And that game was, let's take every industry trend. Let's do that. And once they put it out there and they went, look, and everybody went, this is going to be awful. They went, what?
No, Joker's coming.
It can't be.
Joker's here, right?
Yeah,
You like
yeah.
Joker.
We've got Harley Quinn. Everybody loves Harley Quinn, right?
Oh, well, here's Arkham Harley Quinn, right?
Female freeze. Come on now. Come on.
I just want to point out here that this has 4,000 responses, 25,000 retweets.
Ooh, ratio.
And this is an amazing community note here. Let's see if we can get the translation going. Although it states the game is in Assassin's Creed series are not made with the purpose of recreating historical facts or historical figures. In an interview, the development staff stated historical accuracy has been confirmed. It has all the information we need to reconstruct what Japan was like in the 16th century. It's well described. Conduct thorough research and compare the results with experts, historical games, historical fidelity maintained. It faithfully depicts real historical figures and events of the time. Despite the fact that, I don't know if we mentioned this in here, this entire statement is basically saying, we talked to consultants, we talked to historical academics or whatever, and they are not to blame for this. We are to blame for this. And this is essentially a work of fiction. This is complete rewriting of everything that you've done to try to sell this game so far. So I'm glad they're being caught in the lie. And I don't know that we would have this opportunity if it wasn't for X.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Thank goodness for this platform still being available so that we can get actual information and spread it. I mean, it's how we actually get and distribute news nowadays from all of our favorite news sites, right? You know, that's how we pump up our wonderful writers. I'm not going to use the word journalist because right now I think that's a bad word. Yes, my favorite writers get distributed through X faster than they do anywhere else. So I'm thankful.
So this is something I wanted to bring up too. I shared it in the private chat, Jonas. If you want to bring it up, Ubisoft is all about trying to talk about how they promote real history too, right? They actually have a collaboration here between Assassin's Creed Mirage and IMA, which I think is what does that stand for? It is the Arab World Institute, and they actually have like this history of Baghdad feature here. So if you scroll down to like below the second image, it says like this is not the first collaboration between Assassin's Creed Mirage and the IMA. Mirage's history of Baghdad feature brought real history into the game world by allowing players to read about and view real objects from history, 3 of which came from the IMA and are on view in the exhibition. When the game launched in October 2023, it entered the museum's permanent collection thanks to a short in-game film specially created by Ubisoft to showcase historical sites in Baghdad. So they actually do indeed include a lot of truth in their games. So this idea that they are trying to claim this is now just a complete fiction is just not true, because we can go back here and look at this at Assassin's Creed Mirage. I mean, obviously they do have historical fiction, but as that community note pointed out there, they are literally saying that a lot of this stuff was indeed true and you can learn from it. And at the end of the day, it looks like a lot of it was fabricated by this guy, Thomas Lockley, who Ubisoft was consulting with.
And he wanted to fantasize all this stuff. Listen, their own people, Japan was very xenophobic, okay? When the Toyotomis and the Nobunaga's were going after each other, Japan was very xenophobic. Not only that, a peasant couldn't just pick up a sword and become a samurai. Okay, much less someone on the outside. They killed gaijin that just washed up on the shore. You washed up from like a boat. Let's say your boat went down off the coast of Japan. You washed up. They just as soon as kill you than pick you up and try and help you.
Yeah,
they were very xenophobic.
I would like to use a softer word than that and say
sorry, culture.
No. I'm just going to say ethnocentric. Let's just say
it's
that.
True. It's true. It's a monoculture.
I think it's a better thing. I think that's
perfectionism.
And I'm not being mean about Japan. I'm not talking bad about Japan.
No.
That was the way things were. It is simply the way things were. And at that point in time, that's what happened. We've got to get off this thing where we're like, oh no, they did this 500 years ago. That was the way they were. Get over it. They're not like that now. Just stop trying to judge people from 400 years ago what somebody did.
Oh man, that's perfect.
I think we've done such a poor job of overseeing history and teaching it to the younger generation that they think that multiculturalism has existed forever and it's been around for like 5 minutes.
Oh, absolutely. And,
Yeah.
and we're still trying to see the consequences of people saying that all cultures are equal, which I would say if you ever have a disagreement about, say, the way that one culture treats women in their society, then you are automatically saying that no, not all cultures are equal. I do, because this is a fantastic segue to the next thing that we want to talk about, which is the gamer. I'm using air quotes here. You can't see them. Journalists that are coming to the defense of Assassin's Creed. But before that, we want to hit some
urinalists in that. Those are urinalists. They probably write for Kotaku.
That's a pretty good guess you got right there, Culture. It's almost like you've seen the show notes. SFX Sabretooth Raptor for 5, only playing old games now. When will Mexican Iron Man be in a game tossing Smurfs at Elf?
That sounds
Mario,
awesome.
Mega Man, Contra, etc.
Somebody make a Flash game.
Yes, real fast.
I think that the fact that they have all these games that are 8-bit, they don't have to be 8-bit, just speaks to the idea that maybe they've never been better than they were at that time.
Well, no, a lot of what the 8-bit revival has been in these recent years has been indie developers going, "Oh, aren't I so quirky?" And it's hipsterism. It's going, "That's what you guys all like. You all like 8-bit. Here's my 8-bit game." And it's like, okay, you drew a stick figure with a beard. Like, that's not really 8-bit. What are you guys doing here?
Yeah.
And I would argue like the 16-bit era, the Super Nintendo era, that's where everything peaked.
I would agree with you, and then the PlayStation era was the awkward teenage
32.
phase.
Yep.
All right, Doug, 1985. VA loves horror for $1.99. Loving this content. Levin, you right back, man, and thank you.
Yep.
I'm loving this show today myself.
Yeah, we're having fun.
TGV Monster for 5. They thought they could get away with DEI in video games. They underestimate the power and rebellious nature of gamers. We paid the bills. I'm just going to point out, with a movie, you spend 2 hours with that thing and you never have to see it again. With a video game, you're paying $60 to $70. You're expected to spend on the low side 12 hours, on the high side maybe months of time. Playing one of these games. So if there's content in there that bugs your players, they're going to tell you about it.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a pretty high price point. Movie $15, a video game $70. Different. So yeah, you definitely want to buy your entertainment and get the value out of it that you expect. We haven't done that in a long time. Spencer and John have been reporting on these various games that are spending the companies are spending enormous amounts of money. Warner Brothers, because of the failed Squad game, Kill the Justice League, right? They wrote off $200 million of development on that game because it sucked rocks. Right?
And now Warner Brothers Discovery is splitting into 2 companies and offloading everything that didn't work.
Potentially.
And it's funny that the studio still is baffled that their game failed. I've read a lot of comments where I don't understand why this happened. We had a sure thing here, and it's just, well, some people are clueless, right?
I've got a review coming up. I'm probably going to send it to Culture next week. It is for Super Robot Wars 30. I am 120 hours into that game. I am not done yet. I paid $60 for that game with all the DLC. That means that I've spent 50 cents for every hour I have played that game and enjoyed that game. That is the kind of value I really want with a game. I can take less. Give me a good 30, 40 hour game. I will consider it money well spent. But if it's crap and it's 8 hours long and it's just full of messaging, I've lost out on $60, $70. I need something that's worth it. I want something that I can play and that I can enjoy, where I'm going to get my money's worth. That's what I want as a gamer.
And that's what you should expect. And real quickly, we have 2 reviews in the can ready to go. They'll be hitting the channel soon. You got Space Dave's, you have Loki's, you have, a couple others that are in process. So I'm very excited about that. We're really going to have reviews going, pretty much full tilt, folks. So we're going to replace... I can't
wait till you release my Princess Barbie review. It's
coming. It's
going to be fantastic. That was my favorite game for the Amiga.
Princess Barbie? What?
Now, before we move on here, I just want to say, guys, if you are enjoying this stream as much as I am, please share it out. That really helps because this is a new channel, and we've been talking about some culture war stuff, and I'm not sure that YouTube likes us very much. So, if you like what we're throwing down, consider sharing it out. But what we really want to do is talk about these people who have come to the defense of Ubisoft here. First of all, we have Inverse. This story, Mr. Troy Dowd. What a wonderful title right here.
Is that his name? I think is that how you say his name?
Trone. It's so close to being a cool name.
Clueless.
How do you? Yeah, I don't even know how to say that. Assassin's
I'd
Creed
say
developers didn't have to explain their game. Ubisoft just gave the worst people on the internet ammunition. I don't know. We are covering it right now.
So we, as their customers, the people that play their games are the worst people on the internet. That's good to know. That is good to know.
Actually, interesting enough. Understand, he's
To be fair,
writing
that's
an
coming from
article.
them, not Ubisoft.
He's actually writing an article about it, so he's correct. The worst people are definitely involved in that conversation.
I want to point. I think we also have to remember that the statement that Ubisoft gave was specifically addressed to Japanese players. It's in the headline, and it's also like repeated immediately after the body. They are giving that explanation specifically to Japanese players. So that is who he is attacking here, whether he realizes that or not.
That's what I was thinking too. He's attacking the Japanese culture, let alone.
I don't necessarily
How dare they
agree with
defend
that.
themselves?
I don't necessarily agree with that, Reed, because yes, they were addressing Japanese players, but obviously we're talking about it, and she is considering, or this guy is considering us one of those worst people on the internet. Because yes, that's a statement addressed to Ubisoft, but of course we're going to pay attention to it. And like John has done, and we've all done, we're going to hoist them by their own petard by it, because that's what they get.
Well, let's talk about this.
The shame. This is the shame moment. He's ringing his bell and he's saying, "Shame, shame on you. You should be ashamed of yourself for dare speaking up." And we're tired of that. Especially as gamers, we are sick and tired of that. Just because we have something to say or we don't like a direction something's going, we are horrible ists, obes, Yahtzees, and all the other names they can call us. I'm sick and tired of that.
And when we don't put our money into their product after calling us all those names and it fails and bombs, like
why didn't you buy it?
Yeah, and they're like, "Oh, why didn't you buy my product?" It's like, well, you told me not to because you didn't like my opinion. Yep. And then the people they think are going to support them constantly never do. They don't put money into the product or the entertainment that they're talking about. So good luck.
Now, one thing I'll say in this person's favor here, they at least label this as opinion, but let's get into this opinion in quotes. The Assassin's Creed game everyone wanted for over a decade has been marred in a nonsense controversy since its two leads were revealed earlier this year. I actually agree with that statement, probably not in the way that he means it, or she. I don't know what gender that name is. Centering on an African-born lead in a game set during feudal Japan is a great way to set Assassin's Creed Shadows apart. Oh my, from other excellent games that have already explored this era. Instead, it's becoming a lightning rod for some of the worst people on the internet looking to turn fake outrage into cash content. I'm screaming in Ghost of Tsushima right now. Rather than ignore ignoramuses, we're going for the hard words here, who claim Shadow's black protagonist is part of a larger...
Been to a Cracker Barrel recently.
He didn't put the hyphen in the moose on the end of it. Sinister diversity effort in gaming. I'm going to say sinister. That's actually probably the best use of the word sinister that I've ever seen. It's supposed to be shadowy, underhanded, based in the idea of sinister, meaning left-handed. Developer Ubisoft Quebec acknowledged these fraudulent concerns. Okay, there's dismissiveness in a recent statement. While the developer isn't changing course from its decision to split the game's narrative between Japanese shinobi Naoi and African samurai Yasuke, it practically handed those bad actors a fake victory in a culture battle that doesn't exist in the first place. You know, that's funny. This is the first time I'm realizing it's not an African-American samurai. This person probably never went to America. It is an African samurai, which makes the use of hip-hop even more jarring.
I think he's from Mozambique. I think that's the
Yeah, and that's why I was like an African born. Can you prove that? I mean, there was a time at which you had black people all over the world. There was a lot of slavery going on, a lot of trade in that term. And I don't think this person kind of understands what they're saying with that.
A point of order as well. Female weren't called shinobi; they were called kunoichi.
Yeah, it starts with a K.
They weren't
Correct.
called shinobi.
Play your dead or alive. You would know that.
That's right. Oh yes.
You got me, Loki. I know.
Hitomi is my girl.
Yep.
That's right.
In a tweet published Tuesday, Ubisoft apologized vaguely over the use of some elements in the game's promotional materials. The apology was clearly about the use of a Japanese historical reenactment group's flag and concept art. Yeah, that's not true either.
They had already previously apologized for that in a separate post on Ubisoft Japan. He's talking about the Sega Kara.
No, I know what he's talking about. I'm just like, what? That's not even relevant. He's completely like dodging the point of what this, what do you call it? The statement was.
Well, his grasp of what's happened here is about the same as Ubisoft's grasp of what happened with Yusuke. So it rhymes, The apology was clearly
like
about
poetry.
the use of a Japanese historical reenactment group's flag in concept art. No, it wasn't. According to the group known as Sekigahara Teppotai, the developer used the flag without permission. Forgive my Japanese there. They asked that the developer remove the flag from its game, to which Ubisoft rightfully agreed. The team then addresses the game's creative liberties and historical inspirations. I'm not going to read them again. The statement is basically Ubisoft Quebec tapping the sign that has preceded the start of every Assassin's Creed game since 2007. Oh, so we're going for the Simpsons meme here. Don't you know what we're doing here? This
article is dripping with such condescension that this isn't. You can tell that this isn't from somebody who has an actual point or knows that they have a standing. This is just pissing in the wind, essentially. Like, they are so mad and seething. They're calling everybody like, oh, the worst people. Let me tap the sign. And it's just, they are being, you can tell they're on the back foot here. They're desperate.
That's fantastic. And let me tell you, we're going to go to someone who is worse and more well known here. All right, let's take a look here if there's anything else to glean before we. Yep. There's the sign. They think they're covered by this.
Weird that he didn't post the actual message like the on X.
Yeah, that's a really good
the
point.
Statement. Yeah, the actual statement.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, did they remove the religion bit? Because I was sure they used to say of different religions. Now it's sexual orientations and gender.
They added it in. I think it's in the newer ones. I think that they added it in. I'm not entirely sure.
Right, because gender identity was not originally in that.
Yeah, no, that wasn't there.
Because that would have stuck out like a sore thumb in the Assassin's Creed 2.
And it would have sent the Arab world into insane mode.
Right. Yeah. I don't know.
2007, that wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
Either.
Now.
Yeah. Exactly.
Let's go point out. We're going to take a brief trip over here to talk about a Verge writer that is well known to the website. John, thank you very much for sourcing this one for me.
Scroll up first. Go to her first post.
Scroll up.
All right. Oh, she actually.
Yeah, there you go, right there.
All right, let's read it, and there might be some things I convert into acceptable YouTube guidelines. Y'all can quibble about if he was a samurai or whose swords he was allowed to carry. He was there. Everything else should be allowed to be artistic license. None of this is about historical accuracy. You just hate black people and use Japanese folks as convenient shields. My heart hurts for the idea that someone thinks like this. Honestly,
tone deaf kind of comment. That's just ignorant.
Yeah, this is a person. I hate to use the argument, but here you go, right here on the right. She, her, pronouns in bio, and then continuing on. Let us also dispense with the pretense that Japanese society isn't itself. Oh, there we go. That's
it's a Karen. Can I say that?
Wow, huge swings.
What in the world? I'm not even going to.
Karen.
Wow.
I think you're fine to say Karen. She probably would take offense at that one.
Tell us what you really think.
What in the world? Let's see. Responding. Oh, and she's in the comments. You can tell they're mad when they go into the replies of their own replies. My understanding here is that the Japanese right wing have different complaints about the game, building, and flags used, but poor messaging here from Ubisoft. And that I have no problem with, because Ubisoft has always taken care WRT accuracy in rendering real places. However, that particular care was never applied to actual people where an artistic license and rule of cool were employed. No,
they
false.
also never use an actual person as the main protagonist in any of their games.
Never.
That's a brand new thing.
Always side characters. Let's see. I have nothing for that battle. Just what you said here was actually really ethnocentric and incorrect. Forgive me for the language. What part of what I said was ethnocentric? I'm sorry. You just called out the entire culture of Japan, and you're going to say that's not ethnocentric, that Japan has its own issues. Yeah, that's myopic. I'm going to get this off of the screen here, and we've still got one more take that we have to get to. Guys, do you have any reactions to that?
Can I just ask, where does this lady think she comes from, where she can say that?
Well, she's a
Where
game
does she think
journalist.
she comes from? Does she think she like descends from the most woke, ultra liberal like culture ever? No,
That's exactly what it is. This, for all the crying and screaming that all these game journalists do about, oh, your side is so violently racist to everybody out there. You guys don't want any other cultures. You guys hate everything. Look at how the second something goes against what they want, they start calling everybody racist. They start saying, no, this is actually good. No, you guys don't know what you're talking about. Like, they think that by reading the Ibram X. Kendi book or reading Robin DiAngelo's book, they've become enlightened and are therefore better than you. So she's not talking as somebody who actually cares or wants to work with like the Japanese people. She's talking as somebody like, I am better than you. I know what's better for you. Why aren't you listening to me? Because, like, yeah, Japan has its ethnocentric problems, but that's not the entire country. So the second you start throwing out blankets, well, obviously we know now you're flailing.
It's not even just I'm better than you. It's I'm more moral than you.
Right.
Yeah.
My morality trumps your morality. Yours is evil. And if you say anything about it, it's just from your white cisgender, whatever, you know, it's from your inherent racism or biases.
I mean, they'll always, whatever they do, they'll always leap around themselves, twist themselves to find an
It's
excuse.
projection. It's literally projection.
It
tells you exactly what their hearts are like. There's no humble. There's no.
I'm so excited, guys.
Yeah.
I'm so excited because you've given me an excellent opportunity. Since we're talking about morality and what trumps morality, I think John probably knows what I'm about to put up on screen. We're not going to read this.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
Favorite group.
This is the same person.
This one's really this has like a ton of information. She literally admits that this
She's
is one,
racist.
this one's different. Okay, this is the one I thought you were going to bring up. But yeah, so this one's about Trump. I think the other one's more relevant. On this one, where she basically talks about the Sweet Baby Inc. coverage that she did for The Verge, where she admits that she was literally lying, decided to omit everything in order to push the woke narrative, to make the woke narrative look like is justified, removed everything about Cabrutus Rambo and how they were trying to destroy the Steam curator list, and how Chris Kindred, a Sweet Baby Inc. employee, was trying to get him canceled. Literally, in my opinion, trying to have Steam steal his video games by shutting down his account that he paid for, all those games that he paid for, trying to get that shut down and using Steam to do that. That's she admits it in a number of DMs that were shared by this user on X, that she said that she was instructed to this by her editor. They explained it to her, and she admitted why she decided to remove that, because it paints Sweet Baby Inc. in a negative light. And the whole purpose of her article is to make Sweet Baby Inc. look good, make the woke narrative look good.
Yep. And this is the kind of stuff, and I don't mean to make this entire live stream to say, hey, look what John did, look at all this, but there's been so many opportunities while covering this Yasuke situation to say, hey, go look. If you want to know more about this, things that we could not cover all of it in a single live stream here. Now, speaking of subjects that
right, yeah, and I just want to point out, like, a lot of this has been pointed out to me from Japanese players who have sent me tips, sent me information. Like the Shoei, I forget, Koda I think is his name. He does a really good summary of why Japanese Kondo. Thank you. Yeah, I think he does a really good job of explaining why the Japanese players are upset with the game. So lots of it's not just, I'm just reporting on what a lot of the people have been sending me and a lot of that information.
Yep. Now, before we get to, well, let's just say one of our favorite people to cover here when we talk about video games. I'm going to read a couple of super chats real quick. Clive Griffiths for £2. I've never heard such rubbish. Between the pounds and the Clive and the rubbish, I'm going to guess that you are in Britain. Thank you so much. Clive.
That's proper money.
That is proper money.
That's correct.
I love the term rubbish. It's a great term.
It's perfect.
The rubbish bin. They say rubbish bin, not garbage bin.
Juliet for £5. Yusuke, born Portuguese, Mozambique, brought to Japan by Jesuit Alessandro Valignano. Yeah, I do believe they actually have Jesuits in the trailer, if I'm not mistaken.
They talk about how that's how the game starts and how he like connects everything.
Are they trying to say the Jesuits are Templars in this one as well?
They're always
they're not even. Yasuke's origin is completely changed in this one, according to rumors. It has nothing to do with that. According to the rumors, according to the leaks, Yasuke's origin. So in real life, right, he was brought by the Jesuit missionary. He hung out with Oda. Oda was like, that guy's weird. Can I have him? And so on and so forth. We all know what happened from there on out. In the game, Yasuke is actually on an African slave ship being taken to wherever when it's raided by pirates, and the pirates kill everybody on board and they wreck the ship, and Yasuke's thrown overboard and he washes up on shore in Japan at not the Templar, but the what's the other faction? The Assassins, I guess. They have another name. But he lands in Japan on the shore of one of their like temples, and they go, okay, we'll take you in. You're ours now. And that's how he becomes a samurai, according to the leaks. Maybe that's one of the things they change in the next 2 weeks before they ship everything out, but that's what we've been hearing.
Sounds like they had acolyte writers on this crew. So.
The Japanese at the time were very superstitious. Someone just washing up on shore like that, they normally didn't just go, hey, you know what, we'll make you one of us. You come over here and No, they'd take them out before they.
Well, they were an isolated island. They were always being invaded, so they.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Right, especially if that person looked different than them on an intrinsic level. Yeah. Now, speaking of people who probably have some issues with that themselves, here we are at Kotaku, that stalwart of gaming journalism.
Love these guys.
This by one lady in particular, female at least, movements for ethics in games journalism or against forced DEI in video games are diaphanous veils draped over bigotry. But this by Alyssa Mercante. I hope that she finds godly love in her life at some point. On July 23rd, in response to the ongoing backlash against a black lead character in the upcoming Assassin's Creed Shadows, developer Ubisoft released a lengthy statement. The response on X were exactly what you would expect. Bad images, slurs, and calls for historical accuracy in a video game series. It's funny to me that is the third element here. Bad images, slurs, and calls for historical accuracy that has always been steeped in science fiction. Oh, is that what this is? Are we not saying this is historical fiction here with a little bit of science fiction dressing that's just put on there as part of the Animus stuff? Do they even do the Animus in these games anymore?
The Animus is like long gone.
Good.
They have like super portable like Google Glass Animus now.
Yeah, no, not even joking.
It was the most annoying part of the game anyways. An unpublished community note, frequent feature used by users to add context to posts reads Assassin's Creed. Oh, that's nasty. But of course, we don't condone racism, but we don't think that most of the backlash here is the racism. I think that racism gives Alyssa Mercante an excuse to say the things that she wants to say. Anyways, continuing on. A fledgling but ferociously loud group of gamers will tell you the Assassin's Creed Shadows backlash is about respecting Japanese culture or refusing to accept woke ideologies that are being forced into their games by consulting groups who hold no real power. What could that be referring to? Anyone want to bring our audience?
That doesn't even make any sense because they clearly do if they are indeed being hired by Ubisoft to consult on the game. So they do have real power. They do have power to influence the game. So doesn't really make any sense.
And write characters, dialogue, missions. That's a lot for not having any power.
She's specifically referring to Sweet Baby Inc. and consultancy groups like them. And guess who used to work for Ubisoft before founding Sweet Baby Inc.? CEO Campbell.
That's a very good point. But just like in 2014, during the first full-throated iteration of Gamergate, we're going all the way back there, that was never about anything other than hate. Well, that's, of course, rewriting history. The internet is a powerful place, an in-between world in which imagery and rhetoric can be weaponized to such an extent it bleeds into real life, from wires to weeds, as the 2020 book Beam Wars says. In 2014, a misogynistic movement demanding ethics in games journalism broke gaming containment with such ferocity that politicians took note. So she is making this entire thing about Gamergate, as opposed to everybody saying, no, this is weird. I'm just gonna point this out.
Wait till you get further down.
But is her argument that you shouldn't have ethics in journalism?
That's what I'm reading. Yeah,
that's what it looks like.
Isn't that the whole thing? I mean, now this is why you're not trustworthy, and everybody doesn't like you, Alyssa. Yep. I'm sorry.
It's her truth, Culture. It doesn't matter. Like, that's why you have to put the ethics aside, because it's her truth. I put that in your quotes.
Okay. Thanks. Appreciate that.
I'm not even going to get into the guys that she's citing here, that I don't think any of these people have weighed in on this issue, so it's really reaching. I'll hit your continue reading button, though, there, Kotaku. I'll give you the satisfaction of that. Harnessing that power forever changed the landscape of mainstream politics. She's talking about Title IX. She's talking about pro-choice versus pro-life.
Wow.
All of these things, because everybody says, this is weird. Your game is weird. It doesn't make sense. You're putting a double standard into this for your own weird reasons. Here's the thing that I'm going to say at this moment. It's generally Occam's razor. If you have something so strange that it defies understanding from someone just coming in that knows the situation, okay, if you say there was a black samurai and everyone believes it, okay, whatever, we'll move on. But this looks like they're just trying to take this 6'4" dude and trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. They're trying to take something and make it into something that it is not. And if we're going political, there's been many instances of people trying to take narratives from the real world involving black people that they're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole to fit their own narrative here. So I'm going to say that Alyssa Mercante is probably seeing her own worldview here, where she's trying to reinterpret facts in order to fit her worldview, as opposed to, what she's accusing us here. It's the iron law of woke projection.
Right.
Down here in the South, brother, we call that straw man argument.
Exactly.
Oh, I use the word man. She's a woman. Sorry, Missy.
You all, to that point, you also have things that are fictionalized that are seemingly influenced by or inspired by Yasuke, like Afro Samurai and things like that, and no one has any issues with those.
But that's not, anyways. Yeah.
Agreed.
John, stop bringing your facts to this to this feelings discussion. Okay.
It's her truth.
Here's your big emphasis quote here. Racism isn't a logical position, so you cannot defeat it with logic. Facts just don't matter to a racist, especially not the tedious kind of racist who makes their home in video game culture. There will always be new hair to split. Wow.
Why are you working in video game culture then, chick?
Who is Gita Jackson, and where in the world does she get off on this?
It's another leftist identitarian.
Didn't this website pretty much isn't this supposed to be a game guide at this point that we're reading? Why are we seeing commentary on this website that is, first of all, looking for a new editor-in-chief, appears to have had mass layoffs, and is supposed to be changing strategy at this point? Instead,
Sorry, Jonas. I was just going to say,
go ahead.
Because she's still there. That's why. Yeah. Because she's still there. Sorry.
Well, she's the only thing generating traffic, and you actually gave them an extra page view by clicking on the continue on. So you're partly to blame, Jonas. I'm just
5 extra cents.
I'm just saying, and now you may have upped their average to 5 pages for visit, and overall time spent probably just climbed to 3 minutes because of you.
Yeah, look at
Just
this
like-
right here, though. Just okay. We'll get in and we'll get out here. It's a special brand of hatred, a sort of backwards logic boomerang careening through the air on its way back from progress. Since its inception, gaming as a cultural space was largely dominated by white boys and men. That is not
wow.
true. You had to have a certain amount of wealth and free time to even partake in it. Also not quite true.
Wow.
And those were not readily available to marginalized groups in the 80s and 90s. Also not quite true.
That's
Marketing and the
BS.
design of games aimed at boys.
Where were a lot of these game developers from? Japan. Okay.
She's
Ooh,
such a
yeah.
she's such a liar. She just, where is she getting the information? She doesn't back up any of these things she's saying. She can't cite sources for them.
Well, here's
But-
a source
but
for you.
Culture, I believe-
never spent as much time around other people of diverse cultures than I did in an arcade. Playing Street Fighter, playing Mortal Kombat. I played every race, every creed, everybody that went in there. Girls, boys, we played. There was no, oh, you can't use that machine because you don't make enough money. No, you had your quarter, you put it up on the rack, you waited your turn, you got in, you played. That's the way it was. There was none of this crap that she's talking about. Sorry for using that word, but there wasn't.
Agreed. Here's where we get into her own personal views on the world here. Marketing and the design of games aimed at boys increasingly fueled the widespread perception that this hobby was exclusively for them. Okay, so I'm going to say if someone designed a game for a girl at that moment, she probably would have rejected it as patriarchal, to the point where many girls with an interest in it were met with parental resistance and cultural shunning. What? I myself
Wow.
only forged ahead in gaming after my parents refused to keep feeding into a boy hobby because I could afford to buy an Xbox 360 with my summer job money. And my story is not unique. So this sounds like you need to talk to your parents, Alyssa.
My
And
s-
Yeah,
My
that is
sister had a-
100% a parent issue. What the heck?
My sister had a Game Boy Advance just like me. We played Pokemon together. She had obviously different games than what I played too. But I mean, there were some times where we crossed over. I mean, this is utterly ridiculous. This is clearly a personal issue that she's
Yeah,
now
this
trying to
is
project, which what Space Dave said earlier,
projection,
project onto everyone else.
Yeah, I mean, and look, you're not supposed to use your job as a therapy session. So stop it, please.
Not
But
anymore.
that's what video games are now. That's what video game journalism, that's all. Movies, comic books, it's all, oh, I need therapy and I need you to validate what I feel. That's all it is nowadays.
But this
You're not
has
gonna-
also been fueled by their wherever these people were educated, and they were fueled by that education it was to say, hey, here's a problem that probably didn't exist, but we're going to create that problem
Yep.
for you because we are, you've paid money to come to this college, and I need to keep my job as a professor, so therefore let's create this. And it's not about knowledge or learning, it's about fueling, as I think Culture just said and John said, it's about fueling your poor me childhood. I wasn't rich, I didn't do this. Well, I was dirt poor too, but I still got an NES. I worked. I was 14 years old and had a job, and I got my NES myself. I didn't rely on my parents. I didn't cry about it. So get over yourself. Like,
Yep.
I hate to say this, but man up and shut up. Like, goodness.
I
I'm
bought my
tired of
first
hearing all this
PlayStation.
whining about how you should give me what I didn't have as a child. Well, you know what? Go to therapy.
Yes.
Get over yourself. And please get God in your life. That's all I can say. Sorry, guys. Sorry about that.
Just to what Spencer said though, but you don't why pay money to go to therapy when Lucasfilm will give you $180 million to do therapy for a television show?
Yeah, thank you. Good point. Yeah.
and your fan fiction. Yeah.
I'm sorry for ranting there. I just
No,
get
no,
tired of this.
no,
I
you're
get
right.
tired of, I have to help you and support your broken worldview. Like, we all have to hug you or whatever it is and agree with all the things you say. No, you don't. I don't have to agree with you. I don't frankly care about what you think. I don't care. And that might hurt your feelings, but sorry. Some people have said that to me when I grew up too. I don't care about what you think. And I had to kind of say, that's okay. We will agree to disagree. Have you ever heard that term before? But this topic that this tirade rant here has nothing to do with the Japanese culture being offended by this word salad that Ubisoft's trying to bring to them, and they have a
Right.
right to defend their culture. And I get tired, like, she uses cultural references, and cultural appropriation is a word I've heard for the last 10 years, yet she has no problem saying it's okay.
That's right.
It's one part of her mouth says one thing, and the other part of her mouth says another thing. It's called hypocrisy where I come from. And it is evident by what these people say, and I'll just say there's lots of them, where it's not okay to wear a sombrero because you're culturally appropriating, but it's okay for me to take your entire culture, rewrite it to what I feel like, and then, oh, surprise, surprise, why are you insulted by that? They do exactly what they tell us not to do. It's ironic, is it not?
It is ironic.
Absolutely
And
is.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out, go back to kind of what you were saying earlier, Jonas, is that I think she's deeply wounded, and I kind of feel sorry for her. I kind of pity her, and I think it's like clearly a deep wound that she has, and she lashes out with this.
Oh, my camera.
and that's kind of like where I'm at with this. I get arguing against her and all this stuff, but I think it really has a lot to do with like some clear internal wound that she has, and
And I understand that
don't
we have to have
think it should be-
empathy, but I don't have to agree.
Yeah.
I don't have to
Right,
take
right,
your abuse because you
Right.
were abused, right?
right,
Wait a minute.
exactly.
Wait a minute. So
So-
I'm now feeling sorry for Alyssa Mercante.
Mm-mm.
No, I didn't say to feel sorry. I guess I feel sorry for her in the pity sense, not
Oh.
the
Yeah.
what you're saying is like right sense. Like,
Just
oh,
look at,
yeah,
her,
yeah,
look
just-
at what she said about her
Ma-
parents.
maybe
like
I
how
can help with
Frodo
that.
looks at Gollum, right?
Okay,
What
When
she
they-
said about her parents.
Maybe I can help
Yeah,
you a little
yeah.
bit with
Get
that,
her
guys.
a game
Go
system.
get
That
him,
was
Jonas.
The
Go get him.
craziest thing
Yeah.
was the game system thing. I can't believe that. Go complain about what mommy and daddy didn't do for you to someone else. Some of us grew up poor. We didn't grow up with everything.
Yes.
I had to earn everything I've got. I've earned. I've got a few things that my parents gave me from way back in the day, but you earn what you got. Stop complaining about what mommy and daddy didn't do for you. That is so just level Z and millennial crap. Mommy didn't buy me an Xbox. I had to buy it. Yeah, I had to buy a PlayStation. I had to buy my games. I had to buy my stuff. Quit whining and crying about it. Learn to enjoy what you have instead of crapping on what you don't. Sorry.
Okay. And no, you're 100% right. But believe it or not, we want to get through this segment, and Jonas may have a reason for us to feel bad for Alyssa.
Sorry, Jonas.
No.
Sorry, Jonas.
Well, I'll read this and we'll see how we feel about Alyssa on the other side of it. So this week it was Assassin's Creed Shadows. Before that, it was a content warning added to a Capcom game. Before that, it was the perceived failure of Flintlock. Before that, it was the female lead in a Star Wars game not being hot enough. Before that, it was a black lead in a Star Wars show merely existing. Before that, the way characters in Concord look. Final Fantasy IV expansion having a trans actor. Tiana's Bayou Adventure at Disney. What does this sound like, John? This sounds like Alyssa's following all of our coverage.
And yeah, Grums. Yeah, for sure. I don't think I covered the Final Fantasy 14 thing. I think Spencer and Bounding might have covered that. I know Grums did.
Lara Croft's
I didn't know.
jawline, Dungeons and Dragons orcs being woke, gameplay strategies in Elden Ring, romance options in Dragon Age: The Veilguard.
What was the issue with gameplay strategies? And it's because everyone was using the certain techniques to beat the bosses, or I guess.
Yeah.
I don't really understand what she's. I don't understand
Well,
how that fits into her argument there, though. What does that have to do with? What
I
she's-
think they were saying that
doesn't.
some gamers were mocking other gamers for not getting good and instead of using something
Oh.
cheap. That's where I would think. Jean Grey in the upcoming Wolverine game, a trans flag cosmetic in Call of Duty. Actually, this one was just a bad look even for Call of Duty.
Yeah.
They put
It was the bullet.
trans flag on
It was the
bullets.
bullet skins, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
That wasn't
Uh,
just like an armor thing or a shirt. It was putting it on your gun and on your bullet specifically.
Well, I mean,
Obviously,
I
it's
get-
like only applied to one gun or one.
Well,
firearm.
and yeah, but it's also applied to a lot of incidents recently in our country. So maybe it was just in bad taste all the way around.
Yeah. So I'm just going to say, first of all, I think that she probably has been following that Park Place, that Game Place, Bounding into Comics, Grums. She is very in tune.
Did you guys
on
not
the
see
culture war.
who I saw one of the people we all know Alyssa and Paul Tassi called you guys out like the other,
Oh yes,
like
she
yesterday.
did. Yes, she
Like,
did.
so she knows you exist, and like she has an opinion of
Yeah.
that
Well,
part
she
place
knows.
specifically.
She
They have
definitely
agendas,
knows
it's
us.
obvious.
John, you are definitely known on X. I'll tell you that. There's some
Well-
people that do not like you, sir. I
Now-
like you, but there are some.
I'm
people
actually
that don't like
surprised they don't go after us more often, because they do go after like Smash GT. They literally try to get his website taken down. They go after Grums all the time. I'm surprised they.
It is really weird. I don't know why
act
either.
as much. So.
I think I know what it is. I think I know what it is. And it's
Ron
probably
Perlman.
Ron Perlman. Coleman. Yeah, I do think
Coleman,
it is.
sorry, Coleman.
Ron Coleman. Yeah, if we had Ron Perlman, they might like us.
He
like
did
us
come
more.
back to X. Ron Perlman did.
Yeah, I saw that.
Had
That's
some,
what kind of
like,
why it was
crazy
stuck in my
rant.
head. I'm sorry.
Yep. I do think that's why they went after Smash JT, because he presents as an easier target for them, because he didn't have a website, and he doesn't have the connections that we had. That being said, I think Black Girl Gamers, the organization, did not quite understand what they were getting into on that, and we are blessed to have an excellent
Yes.
lawyer at that Park Place, among some more.
We have a heavyweight.
Ooh, hey, Culture, you've been working out.
Dang.
Glad to see you get some gains.
What kind of controller are you using?
Brother,
It's
My
really
goodness,
heavy.
brother.
It's really
Now
heavy.
there is, speaking of race swaps and the political situation in the United States, we have covered SNK on this channel. Or well, maybe we'll be covering it soon, because I realize now
Ooh.
that video has not come out yet.
No, it's not, but it's a beautiful one. Oh, we were excited the other day. Yeah, you got to watch that video, guys.
Well, maybe we'll be talking about a different Capcom game here.
Ooh.
Before that, Street Fighter 6. Did you know that Karen Jean-Pierre is going to be in the latest Street Fighter 6 here? Capcom and SNK appear to race replace Blue Mary in Street Fighter 6. There she is, the press secretary of the President of the United States, Karen Jean-Pierre.
Culture, where's my surprise Pikachu?
So-
What in the absolute
So, wait,
craziness is
okay.
this?
We'll get into it, but I actually have a pushback against this.
Wait, I have to
That's
find.
fine.
I have to
article.
find the surprise Pikachu face. Hang on.
Tell
Let's
me
put her
this is
on.
like a
Put her down.
downloadable skin. This is not.
That's what I'm pretty sure this is. I'm pretty sure her and the guy dressed as Joe Hisashi, those are just DLC costumes for your custom fighter. Because otherwise they would have been way more like, look, it's Blue Mary, it's Joe. And since it's just those two, I think it's just a look, haha, they're there. Your character can wear these clothes. I tried looking it up too, but they haven't released the full pack details.
I'm sorry, did you say Joe Hisashi?
Did I?
If you
Oh,
scroll down,
Higurashi? Yeah,
Yeah,
Joe's in
scroll
there.
down, it says-
Joe's in there.
Wait,
He's
there's
talking
a
about-
fighter?
Yeah, there's two characters that are next
Yeah.
to each other. There's a white dude with blonde hair that is dressed up like Joe from Fatal Fury. Fatal Fury,
King of
Fury,
Fighters.
Spencer-
Ah,
King of
okay.
Fighters.
See,
I don't know
when
if
you say
know
Joe
that.
Hisashi, this is the person I think of. This is the composer from
thought
a
it was
bunch of Studio
Higashi.
Ghibli films.
Yeah, the
Okay,
Studio
all right.
Ghibli guy. Yeah.
It's
So it's
a
like he's in
different
King of Fighters. Yeah, that's fantastic. But anyways, let's look here.
Higashi. I was wrong. That's
Higashi, yeah.
Higashi.
Okay. Capcom and
That's
SNK
character,
appear
yeah.
to have race replaced SNK's Blue Mary character in promotional trailer for Terry Bogard joining Capcom Street Fighter 6. There he is. Do you think we can risk watching the trailer? We'll risk it. But I am gonna,
Terry Boga.
Demonetized.
We
30
just got
seconds.
monetized. I worked so hard.
do we think that this is a no? The volume is. Should I turn the volume up? I think that would risk it even
No,
more.
you can
Yeah,
turn it
you'll
off.
get
It's
caught.
fine. We just have to get
Is
to
there
the
any
trailer.
music?
VIP for the store's opening. But whenever the hungry wolves surround, you know that his fights are going to be a hot
Wow.
topic.
Terry
Wow.
Boga.
Harry, let me fight you next.
Right
So there he is. So there's Joe, the guy dressed
I'm
up
pretty
as
sure
Joe,
those
I
are
guess.
Creative
Or-
character.
Yeah, I did
And-
know who Joe was. I just didn't realize his last name. But
I got it wrong.
That does not look like Joe Higashi at all.
Yeah.
yeah, he doesn't strike me as a Higashi. But with the
Blonde
two of
hair,
them right
his
next to
hairstyle's a
her,
little bit different. But he's got the
So is he
bandana and everything.
reskinned as Latin? I don't understand. Like, I can't tell here. Is that what's happening?
So this is what the speculation is. If and Spencer, other people have speculated this too, but that these are just DLC skins. But Capcom nor SNK have actually like said what it is. So there are people that are saying that could potentially be a race swap, and that's why I said appear in the headline, because
to reference Ron Coleman again, the word appear,
and this is what, and this is what we're in now. Like these are what these companies do. They do this all the time. We've seen it in Hollywood. Capcom has a full Capcom localization team where they're fully on board with the AI woke agenda. There's a whole statement from Capcom CEO from 2021 where he's all about the diversity stuff. They've got this all over their website. For I will say SNK, I looked on their site. I didn't see anything from them. This is just from their most recent shareholders meeting where they're saying
about SNK is that SNK is owned by Crown Prince bin Salman over in Saudi Arabia. So you're probably not going to see a lot more of that stuff.
Yeah, he hates that stuff.
Yeah.
And
they don't have it on any of their website. It's not there at all for SNK.
Well, I just have to say, in honor of Space Dave and his surprised Pikachu face, Space Dave's surprised Pikachu face.
Now we know why Culture was quiet for the last 10 minutes.
Did you do that, or did AI do that? Because
I did that. It was me.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, and also the studio behind Detective Pikachu. That's absolutely
okay.
perfect.
So they helped. I'm just saying.
Yeah. So Street Fighter 6, again, Street Fighter 2 was my jam here. Turbo Fighters for the SNES. Yep.
I think it's the number 2
series for life.
I think it's the number 2 selling Street Fighter game behind 5, because I did look that up. 6 is all the way back in 30th place for all time.
Yeah, because it's having problems with responsiveness, correct?
The netcode is absolutely
they said it was
garbage in that game.
But did not 5, and I'm not an expert on this, didn't 5 have issues when it first launched too?
It absolutely did.
Tweak it too.
The same issues.
Yeah. It's weird how they've been doing this network thing for 25 years, and they launch a title that's
roll back netcode. It's not that hard. Every
hard.
Every other indie game does it. You can do it, Capcom. I believe in you.
Yeah.
Well, they can't even fix the Street Fighter collection. They can't even fix the localized Street Fighter collection. They've already fixed it in Japan so that you can play Super Street Fighter 2 without it being on turbo ultra difficulty level. You can't do that here. Why? Because they haven't bothered to fix it. All they have to do is move a decimal point over and it's fixed. That's all they have to do. And they have refused to do that for the last 3 years because it's Capcom.
Do you think so? Do you think that this, if this is a character skin or a character outfit or whatever that you get with the DLC pack for Terry, do you think that there's just all these different hairstyles too?
That hairstyle is already
depending on the blonde hairstyle and everything like that.
Yeah. You mean the blonde afro one that the character has?
Right.
That's already in the game.
Yeah. Okay.
That's already something you can put on your character. It's just the clothes that would be added. I'm presuming.
Okay. Well, they clearly made her blonde to make her look like.
Yeah, they clearly did that to emphasize and draw the parallels. So again, saying your headline and your coverage is not off base because you said, we've seen this happen. It could happen. It's on them to come out and go, that's not what this is. This is a DLC costume.
Right. And we just saw the SNK versus Capcom SVC Chaos had that trigger warning and the art
censored the art
being
cover art,
where they covered up the cleavage from what's her name, May
for Mai and Athena.
Yeah, but
Athena was just cropped. That was just cropped.
No. You should check it again because I looked at it. There's a shine, the anime shine on her sword. You know how in some anime they'll censor things by having just a bright beam of light, and you're like, what the heck is that?
Right.
That's on her sword. If you go look at they extended this big old shine over her sword that goes right over her chest. So it's the crop and it's a shine.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'll just say that
we've seen them do this stuff, right? This isn't we're seeing a pattern here from Capcom emerge over the past year here. So I don't think this is out of the ordinary that this might be race swapped.
No, I think it's a fair assessment. Culture, do you have something to say? I think I've got it after you.
While the cover art may be an issue with some people, the game has not changed at all.
Yes.
So
correct.
Oh, we're talking about Capcom versus SNK.
Yes.
Yeah.
Watch the video.
Second time they've done that too.
Yeah, watch the video. Yeah, watch the video when it comes out. I think in the next day or so. I think I haven't looked, but yeah.
Yeah.
So they're not worried about false advertising then, right?
There's also the what is it? The Larry Chang too, where they changed him
in Dead Rising. Yeah,
Dead Rising. Yeah. So they have already done that. They've already done a race change in Dead Rising, which is
the thing that I want to add here is, you know, I've seen this in Fortnite. I've seen this in other games. Overwatch obviously had an issue where they pushed out free skins that were things that Pride Month skins. I'll say it that way. Where they'll take these things where they change the diversity of a character, and they will take a white character and make them black or something else, but they won't make them the primary sales item as well. Are we saying that that's probably what's going on here with the Terry DLC?
Yep.
So I don't think Spencer is saying that this is a. I think he's saying it's just a costume, and you have a player character that you create in the World Tour. I think is the
that's
mode,
what it's called. Yeah,
where you create a personal character, a player character, and you get you can unlock different skins, unlock different abilities from the different characters, things like that. Because there's special moves that you can unlock and apply to your character.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you can get Ryu's punches, and then Chun-Li's kicks, and then Blanca's special move and put them all in your character.
Yep. All right. I think we've got one more story that we're going to cover today, and it is on Concord. But in the meantime, we got a super chat from Minimal Effort Gaming. Hey, buddy.
Thank you.
$2. Financial barrier.
Minimal Effort.
Her inner communist is speaking.
Yes.
Actually, you know what's funny? I wasn't going to put this on screen because we were kind of moving on, and forgive me, this is a difficult group to wrangle. But if you go over here and you look at her story selection,
thank God Lou's not here.
as a gaming person, cosplay from Dokomi, Germany, a Sims update, Culture War, Twisters, Star Wars: The Acolyte, Twisters in 40X.
Did you see how she crouched that Sims article though? It's
a broken heart, but at least you. Oh dear.
Yeah.
What?
What? Okay, well maybe she shouldn't have gotten that Xbox 360 back in the day.
It's okay. It's okay if they want to, make crude jokes or whatever. But if we do it, we're destroying the culture or whatever the heck.
Right, and all of course.
Why did you take the kiss out of Twisters? How dare you?
Right, I can't stand her. I know we're moving off the topic, but just all of her articles, you go through everything she's written recently for Kotaku, it's all just personal seething and personal blogging. The one that really got my goat was a couple 2 weeks ago. There was this whole Twitter thing where a guy made a tweet where he was showing my girlfriend the Miami Vice movie. It's not that great, but I like it. And there was this whole discourse about yeah, that's so funny. Haha, bad movie. And this one lady lost her mind and started going on this multi-day identity politics, more than anything we've ever seen before, accusing everybody of racism, saying, keep yelling at me, I'm collecting this for data, it was just a whole poop storm. But off of that, Mercante writes an article I watched Miami Vice this weekend because of the drama. And you know what it was? It was just a review of the movie from 2005. What are we doing? That's the hard-pressing journalism you think you're contributing to the world? Get over yourself. Or the Acolyte is so horny. This is exactly what we needed. Sorry, I probably shouldn't have used that word, but that's what she does the entire time. And it's just you, like John said, it's projection, and I just can't stand it.
I'll also add.
I love it though.
Space Dave said that first. I'll give credit to
was it Space Dave? Then Space Dave.
Yeah.
John said it more eloquently, so he gets credit.
Space John.
Eric Dabo Kane. This is a author for Forbes, but he's kind of. I'm thinking that maybe the Acolyte broke him a little bit because he's kind of
not Paul Tassi.
Not Paul. No. Yeah, he's the anti-Paul Tassi here.
Yes.
There are certainly hateful and bigoted people angry about Assassin's Creed Shadows, but Alyssa Mercante engages in such bad faith. Truth is, she relishes in this. It's far easier to say it's all just hate than to bother with cumbersome nuance. Dude,
he's on fire. I mean, and again, he's been speaking truth, right? And he is the polar opposite to Tassi, who I think we just ignore. I mean, it's Dude, you are the worst, the worst take human on the planet right now. You replaced Scotty Boy Mendelson. That's the thing.
He's
That's
over
a
at
thing.
Puck now. Did you see that, Mendelson?
Mendelson, yes, and,
Yeah.
and Puck has
Wait,
some
wasn't he at Bloomberg?
He's at Puck now.
Dude, he's getting around. He must suck rocks really bad.
But Eric Kane makes a really good point, though. There is a lot of nuance in the Assassin's Creed Shadow stuff. And I'll admit this, like a lot of the Thomas Lockley stuff, that was a lot to like kind of figure out and see what was really going on, because you're literally looking at like Wikipedia entries, and there's a lot of research that you have to do to like kind of dive into that. And I'll be honest, I was looking at some of those old Wikipedia entries, and if you go back to the oldest one on the English language Wikipedia for Yasuke, it describes him as a samurai. So I think there's differences in the language, and I think that's and obviously that takes a lot too, because you're dealing with a language barrier there. And I think the Japanese Wikipedia is different from our Wikipedia, and so that's why you really got to try and find a lot of these Japanese sources that really do a good job of it. And I think that's why I kind of gravitated towards Shoei Kondo there. I think he really does a good job of breaking it down and explaining it and elaborating on that. So he's right. There is a lot of nuance, and Alyssa Mercanti clearly just didn't want to engage in it at all.
Right, because in the end, having questions means that you are the kind of person that they're describing, and shouting down people when they disagree with you, well, that's not what we're all about here. But speaking of people who shout people down, report Concord developer demanded coworkers refer to her as Professor, pushed extreme politics, and demanded her unvaccinated colleagues be fired. Wow, what a charmer right there. Who wouldn't want to?
I love these kind of people.
Who wouldn't want to bring her home to meet the parents?
The beautiful people.
Yep. A new report claims that one of the developers for Firewalk Studios' upcoming game, Concord, demanded her coworkers refer to her as Professor, and she pushed extreme politics and demanded her unvaxxed colleagues be fired. Oh, look at that Duchess.
We got to train Jonas to skip the SEO first sentence.
I know. I'm fine saying it again. This new report comes from YouTuber Smash JT and an anonymous source. Smash JT posted on X. Firewalk Studios, the studio behind the impending Concord flop, has serious internal issues. One of their devs, Lisa Brown, aka Wordle, came out as non-binary and forced everyone at the company to call her Professor. She would regularly have meetings with cheesy phrases like teaching, learning with the professor. She pushed extreme politics, hated guns, and wanted unvaxxed staff fired. How are you going to make a video game and hate guns? That makes no sense whatsoever.
Stop. Is this a Babylon Bee article? Come on. Is this for real? Is there real people like this?
When I was in academics, there were always these teachers, and this is not a teacher here, but you could tell that there were certain, and it was often female professors that would come in and try to talk about themselves as, I'm not like all the other professors. I'm one of the crazy professors. Or in my class, you'll learn that I'm such and such a way real quick. I'm getting that kind of vibe here. In a subsequent video, Smash JT reiterated much of this information, speaking specifically to Brown, demanding she be called the Professor. Smash JT said, the source was telling me that if people would not want to refer to her as it or didn't feel comfortable with it, then their job would be in jeopardy, meaning that this person had their pronouns pushed to the point of calling them something that they have not earned before. Wait. Are we saying that her she was saying Professor was her pronouns, John?
That is what it seems to be like to me. Smash JT is saying that the Professor is the name that she wanted to be called. She no longer wanted to be called as Lisa Brown.
I would like to be called Your Highness. Can we negotiate that, folks?
Graham Puba here. I've claimed that name.
I mean, literally a meme. Come to reality here.
Right. I identify as an attack helicopter. Comes to mind.
Beep bop boop. Right.
That's what I was referring to. I wasn't going to say it. But yes.
So you're an AH. What do they call that? It's an Apache helicopter. What was its designation? I just forgot it.
The Rafflecopter.
No, the Comanche.
Comanche. Yeah.
Is it AH-64?
I'm not up on it. I need to go watch Iron Eagle again. They just decided one day when they woke up saying, I'm a professor now, and people should start calling me that. There's only one professor that I acknowledge here, and he was on Gilligan's Island. Smash JT continued. Here's where it gets crazy. This change, according to the source, had led to a company-wide enforcement on adjustments in addressing and interactions, meaning that people were required to address people how they demanded to be spoken to. And meetings from this Lisa Brown developer, when they had these scrums together at the office, would be titled really weird things like meeting with the professor. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Teaching, learning with the professor, which, as the source had reported to me, were not well received by the staff there. Universal.
Surprise Pikachu face.
I just picture, like, I maybe I had these kind of ideas when I was like 10 years old. Like, okay, I'm going to have a cool nickname and I'm going to try to go to school and get everybody to call me like Snake or Spike or I don't know, something tough. This is not the actions of a person who this is not the kind of thing that you would expect from a manager. I can't even imagine a manager coming in and saying, you all have to refer to me this
Jonas,
way
Jonas,
today.
when I was a kid to this point, this is so embarrassing, but it's so relevant to the point. When I was a kid, for a little while, I started signing all of my homework because I thought it was such a cool name and everybody would refer to me Ultimate Gundam. I literally signed that on my pages like in 4th grade or something for a year. It's so awful, but it's the exact same thing. Imagine if I was like, you're having a meeting with the Ultimate Gundam today. Everybody would be like, oh my, what are we doing here?
And did they say, okay, nerd, we'll call you?
Well, the teacher just went, oh, Spencer, I know this is you. And then everybody else went, oh, you nerd. And they took my lunch money.
Your underwear got on top of your head.
That's why
right over. It was more like a hat.
Spencer, that's why you got to prepay for lunch. That way they can't take it from you. Then they just take your lunch after you get out of the line. Right?
Oh, look at us. Some of us have the luxury of prepaying for lunch, not living paycheck to paycheck.
I was like, was prepaying for lunch a thing back right in like the 90s?
I don't think so either, John.
Nice to the kid.
My lunch was most likely a soda and a slice of pizza so that I could save the money so I could afford gas for my 4-barrel 8-cylinder frickin' Camaro because it was destroying my gas. So
Spencer's talking about when he was in 4th grade. You're talking about when you're in high school.
Yeah.
That's true.
Oh man,
I'm having Stranger Things vibes here with culture though.
Yeah, I was a little weird. I was definitely in high school then. Definitely.
Did you
So what this article says is you can have a lot of mental health issues and run an entire company. Is that what we're saying here?
Well, essentially, that's what we're talking about here. I'll read this last paragraph, and I'm gonna come back to you on that, Dave. Like many of the people at Firewalk Studios felt uncomfortable around this person, but also felt like they'd be retaliated against if they tried to speak up and say anything because the overwhelming architecture of the company, especially when it comes to HR, was very left-leaning, he added, meaning that it was very sympathetic to pronoun bias and how people are addressed and exactly how you need to report to people. And if you don't give them that respect, then you are the person in the wrong. I think this is the entire issue when it comes down to it. Having someone come into work and on a whim, if they have the force of will, they can change the entire way that the company behaves. And I don't think that's appropriate for a low-level worker. Obviously, she's not that low level if she's got people that are reporting to her, if she's doing trainings. But if you're going to have somebody come in and try to dictate, let's say, vision for the entire company, that needs to be someone who has like buy-in. They need to have skin in the game. And really, when it comes down to it, it's not appropriate for someone that's a mid-level manager to say, everyone, you will call me X. Well, in this case, they might literally tell everyone that they would call them X. In this case, though, it's the professor. Anybody have anything they want to say on this one?
It's embarrassing.
That it is.
You know, I find it ironic, though, that we were supposed to take this seriously. But so if I tried to be serious and I said, like you said, I want to be referred to as attack helicopter instead of David going forward. Oh, you're not taking this serious. Well, okay. No, you're not taking me serious. Like, where does this stop, so to speak? Where is it okay if you say it but I don't say it?
It doesn't stop. It's the world of nonsense that they want you to
exactly
live in.
And that's exactly what I'm thinking. It's a world of nonsense. It's very unprofessional too, right? So like to come in and to say it's like a certain, I don't know, let's say I don't live in the States, but I heard that a certain president's wife might think she's a doctor or something. So, and she's
Well,
not, right? So
Yeah,
I mean,
she's a
it's
doctor
the same
in the same
thing.
way
with-
that Bill Cosby was a doctor, right? Kind of way.
exactly.
It's not really
That's fiction.
It's not a doctor. It's a doctorate.
You're not
of
a doctor
education.
just by having a
Doctor.
prescription pad.
Now, I will say, in the end, what it comes down to is the product. If there's some crazy guy down in the coding area that back with all the code monkeys that wants to be called, some name, some nickname, that's really not the end of the world. But if they call you by, I don't know, the name that you were hired under, you don't need to come after them. I'm thinking that maybe that lack of pushback at the studio resulted in things like this. Right here. What if we had
that?
pronouns?
What is it?
This is one of the
guys
characters
haven't
from
seen this?
Concord.
What?
Yeah, this is the
Oh
game
guys
that we're
haven't seen
talking
Concord
about.
yet?
Oh.
Guys,
Yeah.
you're super disappointing me here. I've been covering this game for a couple months now.
John,
Those
John, I
in
think you need to
Star
clean
Wars
house. You
and-
just found out who's actually reading the site.
There's
I
those
did
in
an,
Star Wars and a video game now.
but I
Wow.
did this. I did this amazing
This
video.
is just
on
one
this.
example.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Daw. I think Daw's nickname or whatever is intensive care, and I said yes, very soon now.
I don't think I have I can't even, there's one where like the doll character. Yeah, I have no idea. I think they say that the pronouns are he in the thing, but who knows?
That looks
Right.
terrible.
It looks
Right,
like
and
it looks like Miss Marvel ate a bunch of donuts.
This is the kind of thing where if you can't push back on someone on a creative level, if you are asking for them do this thing and they come back and say, by the way, I wrote myself into the character, well, then you've got an awkward situation on your hands. All right. Before
Then
we
you
wrap
have the
this thing up,
acolyte.
exactly.
Yeah.
You have what funny creatures that we are as we grasp joy in the moments of despair. Okay.
Men
Please
who
tell me
drop
that wasn't
watch
actually
in
in the
toilet
show.
have.
You're
crappy
killing
time.
me.
Here we go. Johnny Bravo for $2. Save your games and company. Fire her. I don't think she's the only one that needs to be fired.
I think it's
No,
too
I
late
mean-
for Concord.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Firewalk is going to be like one of those like bye-bye studios. Like we've
Well,
been waving. I predicted this year we'd lose 9 game studios. We're right on pace.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
So I have to bring this up because clearly nobody read John's article or clearly my article because you guys would have known about Concord. But the fun fact about this game is that this, like Concord, this is the first game from Firewalk Studios, and they got bought by PlayStation because of what they were showing of Concord. They basically were like, we're making this, and Sony went, we need that. We need that game.
Oh,
And so they
no.
bought it, and it's an internal studio now. So
Oh,
this is
wow.
like culture. It's going to be, I want that. Oh, that I didn't treat that really well. I got to let go of that.
That makes
There's
me.
a lot of red
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
There's a lot of red flags on this game too. Obviously, you can look at the
Yeah.
player numbers when they just had their open beta. I think it didn't even get over 2,500, and when it was
And they
free,
gave people extra codes.
yeah,
That
Well,
was my favorite part.
that was the early access. So they had the early.
Oh, you're
access
talking about the beta. Oh, you're talking about the beta
Yeah,
that's
then
happened.
they had
Gotcha,
an
gotcha.
early
Yeah, the
access
open
beta,
one,
and then
yeah.
they had an open beta, and I don't even think that one got over 2,500. The early access didn't even get over
didn't.
1,200.
It was 2,400 for the other one.
That's the early access, and then the open beta, which was a week later, just this past weekend, I think, didn't even get over 2,500, and that's when it was free. Anyone could play this. Anyone could download it. It was free. They're going to be charging, I think, $40 for this game
$40
when it goes
Wait,
public.
Is this still in beta?
suggested it was open beta this weekend.
I think the beta's closed now.
Oh, that's too bad. I was going to ask Space Dave if he could capture some footage for us.
Oh gosh,
And
Am I getting paid for this?
no.
It'll be
in
free to
all of
play
the
very
reactions,
soon.
though,
Do not have
people
a
who
budget
did play said it sucked. It was
Nobody
like I
liked
think
it.
Walmart brand Overwatch, I think, is what guy.
Wow.
that was actually Smash JT, I think, that put that one out there in the world. But
Here we go.
Concord.
CK
Wow,
says,
really?
Concord is made by ex-Bungie workers.
Which ones? The ones that were X, when they were trying
Got
to
fired?
shake out the experience and quality people, or the X when they were trying to shake out all the DEI garbage they brought in to replace them?
Yeah, that's a good question right there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we need to wrap this thing up because we are
we
at
went
2
long.
hours. We did go long. Yes. Spencer, do you want to tell people where they can find you?
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, thanks for having me on. Thanks for hanging out with us on That Game Plays today. We love y'all. We're trying to grow, and we couldn't do that without your support. For me, you can find me over at Bounding Into Comics, where we're putting up news articles every day. You can check out Bounding Into Comics on YouTube. You can, if you want me personally, you can check me out on Twitter at Kabuto Writer Mav, or my YouTube channel, Studio Kabuto. And as always, right here Wednesdays on That Game Place, and occasionally in whatever video I've been filming with anybody.
Yep. Also, Spencer's got a live stream 10 p.m. on Fridays, right?
Is that the time? I don't even know what time I do it anymore. 8 p.m. Eastern time on Fridays.
8 p.m. Eastern time.
Live stream, Good, the Mad, the Ugly. If you want to come hang out and talk about more weeby stuff like anime and tokusatsu, that's your joint. Come hang out if you want to. If not, I'll see you next week.
All right, Loki. You want to tell people?
Oh yeah,
about
thank you so very much, Jonas, Culture, John, Space Dave, Spencer for having me on today. It feels good to be back. Finally got things kind of settled around here. And you can find me over on Loki's Mornings of Mischief on the YouTubes. On Twitter, I'm at StoneLoki1. We try and have a good, fun morning show. We talk about a lot of different topics. We go over a lot of different things. Usually it's never just one thing, but usually it's something that we're passionate about, that we care about, and that we want to talk about. That's the big thing. Talk about those things you love. Yeah, we can kick around the things we don't, but I love talking about stuff that I think is fun, that I think is enjoyable, that I have fun watching. And guys, thank you all, everybody out there, for watching this and hanging out with us today.
So glad to have you back here, man.
Thank you, brother.
Space Dave, there he is.
Pika.
Space Dave, thank you for being here. Do you have anything you want to shout out this week?
Keep your eyes out for the review I do. I'm going to keep it a secret. It was actually pretty fun to play. It's going up.
It's up and ready to go. The only thing we need is a thumbnail. It'll be live as soon as that's done, right, Jonas?
All right. And if you have a good impression of it, I want to hear feedback. If it's a bad impression, I'll ignore you like all these other DEI people. Okay. But I want to be like DEI people. I'll just ignore any feedback you give me that I don't like. No, I'm kidding. Good and bad feedback I'll appreciate. I like helping these good guys here. Culture, Jonas, Spencer, John, Loki, you guys are all great. I appreciate being on this panel. I apologize for my rants, but sometimes it's just got to come out. It just drives you crazy, people, and you just got to say something. And I hope no one was offended. That's not my goal. But hey, you'll find me at That Game Place till they fire me. That could be soon, though. We don't.
You're fine.
John, where can people find you?
This guy.
Yeah, so here on YouTube, I'm on the Trump Report. You can find me there, covering all kinds of video game, pop culture, movies, television, etc. I've been doing obviously a lot of Assassin's Creed Shadows stuff because that has been one of the bigger topics, but also have been covering Concord, kind of covering all kinds of different things, Acolyte, etc., Star Wars. Getting a little bit behind. There's been so much happening this week. There's Lord of the Rings news that I'm behind on, trying to figure out how I'm going to do that. So with Rings of Power, so I do kind of all kinds of stuff. Yeah, new Smith, female Smith that they've added.
I laughed when I read that. I laughed hard when I read that.
So got stuff like that, and then also I have a stock car racing channel. You can search my name, John F. Trent, and that shows up. I cover NASCAR and Luke's Oil Late Model Dirt Series, World of Outlaws, etc. Cars Tour, lots of stuff like that, and I really have fun with that, and do reviews and news and all kinds of drama that happens with stock car racing. It's better drama than what you get from things like the Acolyte. So
yeah, actually, International Race of Champions being referenced by Davina Duckworth here. Yeah,
it's back. They're bringing it back.
Cool stuff.
Hey, and they had a whole car named after that too.
Yep. Culture. Do we have to shout out your channels?
I don't think so. Just shout out my brand. I've got a brand new t-shirt up on the beachpunk.us website, so go check it out. You can get hats and t-shirts. The t-shirts are awesome. This is the official branding.
Is that a pineapple? Are you fully endorsing pineapple on pizza?
No,
Yes!
No. This here is a set of palm trees on a beach. It's beautiful. It's reminiscent of a throwback. Yeah, there it is. Thank you. That's the stuff there. The new blue shirts there on the left, those are the brand new ones. They are perfect for gentlemen and ladies. So well done. And in between, I mean, whatever we pronoun it up. It's fine. But I just wanted to say the most compelling statement of our time.
Was that a beanie?
No, hang on a second.
I want a beanie.
Here it
Oh,
is.
dude, I'm okay. I'm ordering a beanie from you, Culture. I'm gonna wear it on my show.
Okay, that'd be great. You can get those.
You got
We even have ladies' tennies right there. Plus,
I actually like those shoes. Those shoes are pretty cool.
Yeah, I will say this. The words of our time is this: what can be unhindered by what has been. And if you can tell me what that means,
Coconut Tree Collection.
I'm going to say that somehow you
I
still
know what
got it
this
wrong.
means.
It's unburdened.
Oh,
unburdened. That's
unhindered
great.
is better, I think, but it's fine.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. You're much appreciated. By the way, I'm the host over there on That Park Plays. That Park Plays Live will be streaming tomorrow at noon Eastern Time. We've got a lot to talk about because the Disney stock price is in the toilet again. Just like
your tweets this today, Jonas, about it have just been, I don't know why. They're so simple, but they're so funny. Just like every hour, Bob, because it's just like, woo.
It doesn't seem to be a very well-run company, and one of their largest investors just unloaded $3 billion worth of stock. So,
quick question about that, though, sir. What was it? What was the lowest last year? Because I know we were going through this last year.
It was.
We can actually look.
It was 79, 82,
70 something,
78,
right?
73.
78 from last year, yeah.
And that was October. So
our goal is to hit 75 this year, right? That's what the company's goal
that
is?
would have been October would have been when Peltz and Perlmutter relaunched their second campaign, right?
Yes,
so
that's
what that fall
correct.
was.
Yep. All right, guys, but enough of that. Let's get back to talking to games. Actually, talking about games, but we're not really going to be doing that for very much longer. Really, what we're doing is waiting for me to find the brand tab so I can hit this button. See you guys later. Game on. Like I said, it sounds like you die.